his hand, don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs appear, it's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snitker and Adrian Wiley on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, everybody up there in Washington, D.C., in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in Shanghai, and global worldwide on 1787network.com. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me, sitting in the studio wearing her nice little gator sweater.
It's chilly in here.
The chilly one. Hernando's favorite, most loved, and Orange County's favorite, most loved libertarian. Danielle Alexandre, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I was cold, but now I'm quite warm in my. Even though the Gators lost last weekend and I was pretty sad, we can still take Alabama this weekend, so I'm wearing my Gators jersey.
Oh, that's pretty funny. You said you could take Alabama this week.
I know. I'm hoping, wishful thinking.
Oh yeah.
I'm supporting my team.
It's another reason why I'm glad I have no more emotional stock in anything that is sports related. So, because if I did, I would have been upset that the Gators lost.
I was.
Or I would have been upset that the Bucks. Hey, look, the only way I actually even knew the Bucks lost last night was that somebody took a picture of the scoreboard in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'm not as much, I which I don't care. I'm not as much. I am scaling back on my love of sports, especially football. Like there is a lot that doesn't affect me, but I think like when you go to school somewhere, you have an emotional attachment to that school. And I think that's hard to break because it's not the team that I'm completely attached to, but it's the school. So
Yeah.
that was a little harder to break.
I got you.
I was quite sad when they lost, though.
Yes. I was not. I wasn't happy, though. I wasn't happy they lost. I wasn't sad. I just was.
You just didn't care.
I did not give one crap whatsoever. Also in studio with us, keeping calm. As he
possibly
does.
Joining the dark side.
Could possibly be joining the dark side.
There's no possibly about it.
I guess he is joining the dark side. I guess we've confirmed that already.
Can we call him like Darth Greg now?
Yes, Darth Greg.
I would accept that.
Okay.
Yes. Or Greg Vader.
No. No, the Sith's, the Darth is the...
Right, you have to be, it's the Darth in front of your name that makes
Darth
you the
Maul,
evil.
Darth Sidious, Darth Vader.
Right.
Have you seen the movies?
Yes, I have. I have.
I can't believe that I'm explaining a movie reference to you.
I know. Holy cow.
There you go. Well, I wanted you to feel good this
You
morning.
act like you just woke up 10 minutes ago.
So, I was up late last night writing what will be the greatest document that I've ever been a part of. I won't be the one that finishes it, of course, but I will. I am the one that started it, and I do believe that this will go down as one of the greater documents that I had something to do with. So.
Well, I'm glad you cut my intro short so you could plug that.
Yes.
Hey now.
Could you like Greg has like 18 names,
I'm getting there.
and you never
Hold on.
even got to that.
Hold on. He's Libertarian Greg. Knobs. Schnugens, which is actually my favorite name. Tiger.
And now Darth Greg.
And now Darth Greg. Greg Bowen, how are you doing, sir?
Spectacular.
Spectacular. If I was doing any better, they'd probably find a way to regulate it and tax it.
Hey now.
Hey now! Or they'd put a VAT on it.
That's right.
Which we'll get into.
Yeah,
because there's people that want to.
Yeah. It's and we're going there first anyway. So.
Yes, I do have it first. You didn't have
But
a pick first.
if
Oh.
you would like to call the studio, the Refresh Telecom studio line, 1-800-525-4032. That's 1-800-525-4032. Call into the show and participate with us.
There you go. There
we
you go.
answer.
And we're live on YouTube this week.
We are
for the
live
show,
on YouTube.
which I'm very happy about because I do want to be live on YouTube. That means if you want to watch the show, you don't have to deal with all the live stream commercials going on.
Right. The commercials won't be there at all because YouTube doesn't run a 10-minute commercial in the middle of our show.
You only get our commercials.
Right.
Yes, which those are fun. Those are a good time. It's the other ones that suck so bad.
Yeah, and start doing business with our sponsors.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Make sure
why
you
we
get-
run commercials.
Yes, yes. Refresh Telecom. There's a whole bunch out there. I'm not going to go down all of them right now. I'm just saying. Do business with those people because they do business with us.
So we've had actually a really, really busy couple weeks.
You ain't kidding.
We basically, me and you traveled for a couple days down in South Florida for work, for the LP, for a bunch of stuff. Then we got home basically for a few hours for me to do some laundry and repack so that I could go on a campaign trip with Adrian to North Florida. So I actually hit both sides of the state last week. But in that, we weren't home for several days. And this week was a very busy week where we knew we kind of had a meeting every single night of the week, including right after the show today. So we knew we had a crazy week this week. But on Monday, and we've had this scheduled for a couple months now, we had a meeting to go to. And and I'm going to call it this, but I know I've been told that it wasn't done with any bad intent, but there certainly was a bait and switch to the meeting that we went to on Monday.
Let me just say it like this, and this is again, bait and switch to announce something that was derogatory or was done on purpose. Let me just say this. It was supposed to be about something that was a good topic of conversation.
That we felt was very important, which is why we
Yeah.
made room on the schedule for it.
Yeah. And actually, and we'll tell you what the meeting was about. We'll say what it is.
Yeah.
It was about Christianity and libertarianism. Is that there's a lot of people that are very religious people that have somewhat are a little hesitant coming into the Libertarian Party. And the religious issue is one of them, but it's only because of their misconceptions about what libertarianism is.
Right.
There's a lot of misconceptions all the way around.
Yeah, I'll go with that. And this is a way to have a conversation, to engage in some dialogue that could move people closer together and possibly turn them into libertarians.
Right. Because, several of us are actually Christians and libertarians. We hold, positions in the party or, former positions. Adrian's a Christian, so am I. There's a lot of others. We don't talk about it a lot. And there's this misconception that, we're not accepted because we're Christians or things like that, which is absolutely not true. So there was a lot of people who actually believe mostly in our ideals didn't understand kind of how they could be Christians and libertarians and how we are. So it's been scheduled for a few months. I thought it was a really, really important meeting to have. And even though I knew our schedule was jam-packed for this whole month, I really wanted to get it in because I really thought that this was a very, very important subject for us to talk to, especially in our local area, because at least we could come to kind of ways where we could work together a little better because we kind of understood where the other one was coming from. So I've really been excited for this meeting and really, looking forward to it. And when we got there, and we weren't told this until we got there, that because of a scheduling issue, an organization was going to speak. And if we had time after that organization spoke, we'd get to the meeting that we were planned to be there for. And this organization was the Coalition for a Prosperous America, who was kicking off a Florida tour. And it happened to be that the kickoff was at the same time as this meeting was already planned for. So, and I don't, I was told that the bait and switch was not, with any bad intent, but because of the scheduling, this is what happened. But the fact that we weren't told until we ended up driving an hour and a half to be in the room with these people, I was a little upset.
Understandably so.
I was less upset.
You were.
For a couple reasons. One, it is fun to get to witness how far people have moved along and how quickly they can smell a turd coming a mile away. That the ability to be able to not only reasonably argue something that was obvious to most people except for the ones that were giving the presentation, To watch that was amazing, and also to see again. I will see conspiracy theory a mile away. However, I don't believe that I am overstating what the intent of the organization is, and that's the Coalition for a Prosperous America.
Yes, CPA for short.
So this is a trade organization. So it has, and the way they described it to us, they have a whole bunch of different people that come together that want that don't want free trade. They're anti-free traders, so they're not free traders. What they are is they want, and we trying to get them to understand it. They wanted competitive trade. They say free trade's all well and good, but you can't have 100% free trade, so you have to have tariffs, for instance. And they went through. Hopefully, she's going over there to get the book because the book is going to be the bomb. Because I'm going to read the book. I'm not going to read the whole book online, but I'm going to read one paragraph to show you that I don't think that they think that libertarians read. Which I do take as an insult a little bit, but like we read a lot. But this organization they sat down, they started talking about trade, how there's a big trade, there's a big trade deficit, how everybody else is currency manipulating. They were arguing about all the countries that were manipulating their currency against us. And yet, until I asked the question, failed to address our own currency manipulation. Like, I thought it was funny. Did you get the book even? Yeah. Oh, nice.
See, all these other countries have to manipulate their currency to keep up with our currency manipulation.
Yeah, we're the ones that are doing it first.
So Alex asked the question about, are we going to address our own currency manipulation? And then they kind of skipped over that and, and these other countries, and went back to these other countries. Well, then, of course, Adrian and I were also in this meeting. And you can't get the three of us in a meeting and expect that anyone's going to be able to, sell us a line of goods, So Adrian brings up the manipulation of the world currency that the U.S. does with the petrodollar. And, says, are we going to be addressing that? And they were like, well, everyone has to pick their issue. And the one guy says, I agree that I don't like the Fed. That's just not our issue. So they basically said, we really, really are against the manipulation of other people's currency. But when we brought up our own manipulation, because we are the number one manipulators of currency, our own, and because of the petrodollar, that also manipulates everybody else's currency.
Exactly.
They were like, well, that's just not our issue.
And they said a couple other things that kind of lended you to kind of question things. Danielle brought up they were talking about metal. What was the metal?
Well, but basically,
steel.
They were talking about
the American steel industry
and how we have to import so much steel.
Yeah.
And they said, we're importing all this steel, but we don't even have enough steel for bullets for these wars. And
do they know that bullets aren't made of steel?
Well, listen, I wasn't even going to go to that. But they were like, and basically, we don't have enough steel in our own country to supply our military with the supplies that they need. We have to import the steel just to supply our own military. So, of course, being the libertarian that I am, I'm like, well, maybe if we'd stop being in a state of perpetual war, we wouldn't need to import so much metal.
Yeah. And then they kept bringing up how it takes a family of two to survive now, but refused to address our own inflation. Just refused to address it. It was so one-sided. It was very neoconish.
It sounds like it, very neoconish, which has all the elements of xenophobia and all these things that they always have.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't want to bomb brown people. Well, they did talk about a currency war, though.
So they knew
war
that
was going on. It was funny, though. And so we're sitting here, and like I said, God bless the people that were in this meeting. Because you had, myself, Danielle, Adrian, Karina, Paul Foss, Eddie Adams was there, a whole bunch of other people that were there. And Ken Mayo was there because it was his house. So you have all these people that were there, though, and the ability of people to be able to start asking questions to instantly get to the bottom of things was amazing. It really was. It was right off the bat. And these two guys really thought they were the smartest guys in the room, and they were not it wasn't even close. Well, I'm not calling them idiots. I'm just saying you met some people that actually knew the subject you were bringing in, and could talk better about it than you did.
Well, and the first thing, and this happens within minutes of the meeting starting, they hand out these little flyers, and like here's flyers.
Oh, hold on. Let me
Oh,
switch
you're on this one,
no,
right?
go back to that.
Okay, so they hand us these flyers, and on the flyer, and it's like on the first one, it's over here. They actually show surpluses and what countries have surpluses and what countries have trade deficits. This is all trade. And within minutes, Paul Foss gets this paper and says, well, actually, you have Japan here as a surplus, and I don't know if you know this, and this may be old, but Japan has actually been reporting a trade deficit in the last 15 reportings.
So basically,
true.
Paul Foss is saying you're doing it wrong.
Right, which basically says, I don't know what you're handing me here, but your stuff is either old or a lie.
Yeah. Which is, I think it's old.
It is old.
I don't
says
think it's a
from
lie. I think it's
2010.
old. I just think
Yeah.
it's 2010. So I understand that, Paul's making a very good point. First off, that you can't come up with anything better than from 2010. Indirectly, that's the point he was making. Like, guy, get a little better than this.
Yeah, and basically the reason why if you're reporting from 2010, it was a different economic landscape even globally in 2010. If you were to use the numbers from 2013, it wouldn't prove their point as well.
Right.
So they had to go back to the 2010 numbers, which is what Paul was pointing out to them. And that was within like the first 5 minutes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, because here's the thing, though. Why would you have some? I mean, there's 3 years there.
Right. And
I'll
almost 4.
I'll go 2 years. I'll go 2 years.
No. That's 2010, and we're almost to 2014.
11 and 12. Well, I'm not going to argue that part.
Yeah. So, so this was right away what was pointed out. And, and then they get Adrian first starts saying, listen, guys, you're talking to us like we're, don't understand the issue. We don't need the 101 course here.
Yeah.
We're a little more advanced in this room.
And he said he had a very nice way he went about it, by the way.
And he says, I think we're all ready for the solutions. Like, we get the problems. You don't have to explain it to us.
Which they did just a tremendous job of really going over that over and over again without providing solutions. But go ahead.
So he says, okay, you guys want tariffs, but what else? Like, what else are you proposing? Because you wouldn't go through this big, long explanation to just say we need tariffs.
Yeah, a whole lot of work for tariffs.
So then they go back to currency manipulation by China and, all these different things. And Alex says, listen, I get it. You want tariffs. What else? Because we've heard this already.
And I was even getting more specific at that point. I go, what other policies are you advocating for?
Right. What other policies besides a tariff are you advocating for?
Because here's the thing. That's a pretty simple question, and it's not a mean question. It's a, what else are you advocating for? I want to know what you think the solution is.
So they tried to get, and the first thing he says, well, yes, we need tariffs, and he starts to explain again why we need tariffs. And I said, I think we all get that. What else? Because I'm still missing what else you guys want.
Yeah. Now, we asked this a couple times. I want to make the point that we had to drag this next piece of information out of them because they didn't start with it. If you're going to advocate for something like what I'm going to tell you right now, you need to start with it.
So then he goes, well, we weren't going to get to currency.
Hang on a second. You keep talking, but I'm going to get the other piece of paper because that ain't it.
Yes, I have all of them.
Take the
here.
headphones off.
This is the other one.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Well, he says we weren't going to get into currency here, or anything else. But so he goes to get another piece of paper, and he goes into another room, and now he starts handing out this other piece of paper. And what? And they did not want to bring this up. I mean, he was not prepared to even talk to us about this. And what they want to bring? Oh, that's it. What they start talking about is how other countries, 150 other countries, have a VAT tax. Or
A VAT.
Or other
Value-added tax.
Or other type. And he did say, we don't necessarily want a VAT, but we could, but some kind of consumption tax. Now, libertarians, by far, would prefer a consumption tax over a direct income tax.
But a consumption tax, not a VAT tax, by the way.
Right.
Right.
Consumption, not VAT, which they did try to interchange the two terms.
They did. Matter of fact, hold on. Before we go any further, I want to say this. One of the things that I noticed going into this thing was over and over again, these guys would use words that had nothing to do with what they were talking about, but would just use words to try to get people on board with what they were doing.
Yeah.
They would use founding fathers a lot. They would use Constitution. They would use
The buzzwords of the Liberty movement they were tapping into.
all the buzzwords that you would want to use, but they were done gratuitously and they
Yeah.
were done for a point. And the point was they thought, and again, I don't know if they really thought this, but this is my impression of what they thought. My impression is that they thought they were in a room full of idiots. And that they figure, if I say a couple cool words, I'm going to get these guys to support a VAT.
Right.
Like, you picked the wrong room, son.
And
I ain't the smartest guy in that room. There's guys way smarter than me that really know what you're talking about and really don't like it.
so, and definitely they tried to use the consumption tax as synonymous for a VAT.
Yeah.
And that didn't fly over well at all in the room.
Because everybody actually explained to them the difference between the consumption tax and a VAT tax.
Right.
Well, and then they start, they start talking about how this consumption tax would be good and it's very libertarian, and they go off and then he says, and a VAT, okay, it is different, but we still feel like that would be better. And it would bring the trade deficit, more in balance. We'd have a more balanced trade. And then he goes, and he said it really kind of quietly. Mm-hmm. He kind of lowers his voice a little and kind of says, well, we probably wouldn't be able to get rid of the income tax, but at least we'd get it lowered.
What?
And I stopped, and he went to keep talking, and I literally stopped the meeting right there and said, wait a minute. I want to make sure I heard you right. You're not advocating for the repeal of the 16th Amendment and getting rid of the income tax and putting in a consumption tax or a VAT tax. You're wanting this room to believe that we should add a VAT tax on top of an income tax? And he says, well, a lot of other countries do it. And I said, wait a minute. You have a country. You have people in D.C. who have proven that they cannot spend within their means. And you now want to add on. And I said, and then there's no way to cap where they could bring these taxes to. So you have absolutely no way to legislate a cap on these taxes. You have an out-of-control D.C. that cannot spend within its budget, and now you want to give them another tax that they can tax us on? And he goes, well, you can't cap the income tax. And Paul Foss says, well, actually, the Laffer curve kind of caps the income tax, because at this point they've already peaked out and they'll actually get less revenue if they raise taxes anymore.
Dude brought up the Laffer curve.
Right.
Obviously, he knows what he's doing.
So then I said exactly, but now you're actually want to add a tax because they've pretty much reached the peak of an income tax. So you want to give them another way to tax us? So you've basically given them a blank checkbook from your wallet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Now, one other thing that they did talk about was the new Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Transatlantic Partnership, which is two new treaties that are coming down the pipe that are straight evil. They don't like them, we don't like them. In that, we have some agreement. Matter of fact, in the tariff thing, there's some compromise that's possible with what they're talking about with tariffs. It's not necessarily the worst idea in the world. You'd have to get rid of the income tax in order to do it, though, because that is how the government was funded before they did income taxes with tariffs.
Right.
So I'm okay with that but you got to get rid of the one, though. Don't add around. The problem is these guys want to keep adding. And every time we would mention that, well, you can't do that, they go, well, political reality. And they use the word political reality. Which, if there's anything I hate, it is that word right there. Like, if there's anything that gives me, like, uh-oh.
Bless you, bless you.
Bless you. You're allergic to it.
I'm allergic to political reality. So... on their document.
Well, and with the political reality, they'd say, well, you guys just don't understand lobbying when you're lobbying. And we're like looking around the room like, wait, you're in a room with a bunch of lobbyists.
Maybe you don't understand who we are and what we do.
I wouldn't argue he's in a room full of a bunch of lobbyists, but he had a couple in there, though.
Listen, and there's at least some that citizen lobby.
Yeah. Well, on the back of their document, and I want to read it specifically from there because I don't want to make a mistake. What they're looking to do is add, and this is from their document, by the way, add a 12.3% VAT. Now, you got to remember, a VAT is on every level of production.
And anyone who doesn't know what a VAT is, it's a value-added tax, which means at every level of production, they add value to it, and it's a tax. So it's, from the very basic, the raw materials, all the way through the manufacturing process, each each stage adds value, so you get taxed on that added value.
Yep.
Right.
And now you got to remember something here is that remember that it was on every level of it. So the next sentence doesn't make any sense. It says exempt first 100,000 joint filer income from personal income tax, 50,000 single filer income. And then what they do is the result of that is 100 million people exempted from income tax. Now, but that's not true. From income tax, they're right. But what they did is they're moving around what's going on here. So they're saying we're adding a VAT, we're getting rid of income tax for under 100,000, exempt the first 100,000. But you're going to be paying the VAT no matter what, and you're paying the VAT if it's 3 levels in order to get the product from the manufacturer to you. It's 30%.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're adding 12.3 or 12, 24, 36%, 36.9. So that's the result. Personal income tax rates go to 16 to 25% for incomes over $100,000. Reduce corporate income taxes from 35 to 15. So businesses will have to pay an income tax and the VAT. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all paying the VAT, but rebates to very low income filers who earned income tax credits or debit card refunds. That's what they're basically proposing. Now, that's the first piece of paper I want to. They also had this book. And this book was from an organization called the Conservative Caucus, which is an old neocon group. That's just the way it is. I went and looked them up.
And this is the book that they handed out to every person who came to this.
And this is why I wanted to make sure to give libertarians a warning about this group, because they're gonna try to talk to you about, like, oh, we like libertarians, we think they're good people.
tried to
That's
read
why
us
all the
from
other
the
things that they were saying
Constitution.
in there was a little BS. This is what this booklet is all about, and this is actually the warning I want to give to people.
Page 2.
Page 2, second paragraph. The Conservative Case Against Free Trade is the name of the book. The fundamental message of this booklet is that nations, including the U.S., should seek strategic, not unconditional integration with the rest of the world economy. And we're the isolationists. Economic openness, like most things in life, is valuable up to a point, but not beyond it. The Founding Fathers knew that and wrote our Constitution to reflect it. Fairly open trade, most of the time, is justified. Absolutely free trade, 100% of the time, is an extremist position and is not. Now, this part is underlined, which means they want to make sure that you read the next part. It is not a conservative, but a libertarian and globalist policy. This book is equating and putting together libertarians and globalists.
I was going to say that doesn't really make much sense to me.
Ah, crap.
That doesn't really make much sense to me.
Yeah. So they
No. I understand how it doesn't make sense to you. But if you look at it from the case of libertarianism is on the rise in the country, and that this organization is out there to ensure that people that consider themselves conservatives are now looking at libertarians and globalists in the same light. Even though if there's anybody that's anti-globalist, it's the libertarians.
Right.
Because we want to be left alone. We don't want an extra governmental body above the United States making some decisions. And now these people are against the UN too, so there's some weird stuff. Like, they went against the UN. They don't necessarily support the other stuff that's going on out there with the free trade agreements that are out there. But the trade agreements aren't even free trade agreements either. They're bad deals.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and they're not saying that, like, let's stop the trade agreements. They're basically saying these trade agreements are going to pass, so let's put in more legislation to make things more even after these guys sign horrible trade agreements.
That's what I
Yeah,
don't
and they actually said that the VAT is inevitable.
Yes.
That's what they
did
said.
say.
The VAT is inevitable.
Yeah.
So what I've seen here, and what I believe to be the case here, is you have the new wrapping and packaging of what are we going to do to be able to attack libertarians to try to keep people in the Republican Party, and this is the modus operandi this week
And what I don't
or
understand
this month or whatever.
Right now.
is
And I
that
feel bad for Ken Mayo too, by the way. Hold on, let me finish this. I feel bad for Ken Mayo. This guy spots bad groups like he's a magnet for it. So, go ahead.
I don't understand how they can say that libertarians are isolationists and globalists at the same time.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, here's the thing. Different at different times they'll say different things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, and that's what happened here is like, well, foreign policy, you're isolationist, but in trade, all of a sudden we're
Globalists.
That doesn't even make sense.
I don't even understand where they're coming from, because hasn't it typically been the left that supports fair trade and the right that supports free trade, and now they're kind of going over to the fair trade side?
Here's the thing. The kind of trade policies that both the sides have supported are kind of like what they did with, I mean, because you got to remember, Bush started the, what's the one for the giant sucking sound? What's the giant, whatever, the one for Perot, the one that Perot was against in the 90s. Which one was signed early in the 90s?
NAFTA?
NAFTA, yeah.
Yes.
NAFTA was signed early in the 90s. Bush started it, Clinton finished it.
Right.
Perot was against it. God, boy, how much of a different country to be right now if Perot was elected, by the way. You know, all those people that said, I don't want to waste my vote, wasted your vote, all right? On either side, whether it was Clinton or whether it was Bush, you did waste your
completely
vote.
wasted your vote.
And be honest with you, that generation of people that voted for either Clinton or Bush, I want you to take a look in the mirror when you're looking to find out who the problem is.
Yeah.
Like when you go, I don't know what the problem is. This country's going away. Yeah, because you voted for Clinton or Bush instead of the guy that told you about the problems. You didn't elect the guy that would have fixed it. And even Perot didn't have all the answers, is what I'm saying here.
No.
But with that being said, we start getting into whether a VAT's good or not, and we were just going back and forth on the VAT. And they tried to hide it, man. And there's nothing I hate worse than when somebody tries to hide something. Something that is as controversial and that is important as a VAT tax. For you as an organization to not even want to get into that and try to get us bought on a bunch of other crap, the wrapping of your VAT,
Yeah.
and then to say, well, the rest of the world has a VAT. You know what? You know what it is? It could be, and we don't know this to be truthful or not, but it could be that the VAT is the way in which you do a global government because you
Right.
have a global tax.
Right.
Exactly.
So this could be, again, I don't know exactly what it is. I'm sorry, Daniel. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, okay. I just, and we go, like, and they're like, well, we're not really advocating for a VAT. And then you go on their website, top 10 reasons for a VAT. I mean, like, well, and then they go, well, there's really two different groups that are here, and we need you to join us to help fight the other group that wants the VAT. Like, what?
So
What?
basically they did this big presentation so we could help the Liberty people take over their organization. I mean, like
No.
don't you guys try that in the GOP and we say no?
Yeah, we're not doing it here. What's wrong with you? Go form another group. Get the heck out of there. If that's the way the leadership of that... Look, if enough of those people are in there that they can put it on a website, and they put it on your website, then you need to go away.
Well, and this is by the end, and I was, by the end, I felt like I, didn't get a choice in not being in this meeting. I didn't want to be there. I was tired. I've been on the road for days. I hadn't even seen my house. And so I was a little more ornery than usual. And, they're talking about these trade agreements at the end, and they're just going over how bad these trade agreements are.
Which we agree.
Which we agree. And I said, at the end, when the guy kind of stops, I said, listen, you've just made the case why there are 535 people in Washington that gotta go because they'll sign crap like this. But you're not advocating for that. You're advocating to tax the rest of us.
Yeah. Really, solutions, horrible. I mean, just the worst solutions you could ever find. But at the same time, identifying problems, they halfway would identify problems.
Right.
And the other part that really gets me is, can we just start being honest about our own behavior, please? Here's the thing, it's not blaming America. It's just saying what we did. Can we just admit to doing that?
Oh, there you
It doesn't.
I have a mic. And it's
Not
gone.
anymore. Not anymore.
There you go.
Check. There we go.
Can we just admit it? I mean, look, it's like an alcoholic, man. You can't admit you're an alcoholic until you say, I'm an alcoholic. You have a problem. You need to be able to solve it. We have a problem. It's called and here's the other thing, too, by the way. He almost dismissed the $80 billion a month that they're just printing.
Right.
And he kept calling it QE3, not QE Infinity, because it's QE
Right.
Infinity. But it was like people that knew to try to say enough things that if you were an idiot, that they would snow you over and you would think that you were doing a good thing. I would imagine just like people did when the Fed was created. Because what these people are doing is they're trying to put a structure in place. That's what it is that they're doing. Because then they can adjust the structure whenever they want.
Yeah.
That's the BS part. And that's, again, we still got more research to do. We are going to do some more research on this. I feel bad for Ken Mayo. This is no offense to Ken Mayo, by the way. I appreciate you bringing them in because I love watching what the new packaging of evil looks like. You know?
Yeah,
I mean, look, I don't think these people are evil, by the way. So let me not say that they're evil. But a VAT is evil. Okay, a VAT tax is an evil tax.
Well, yeah, and that's, I mean, the people who have a problem with the government taking every penny they can get out of us and taxing us at every step of the way, that's typically on the conservative side that you get that, and that's exactly what a VAT is. I mean, if you're the kind of person who's against red light cameras because it's just a revenue generating tool for the government, there's no way that you can principally support a VAT tax at the same time.
Well, and Karina did point this out. A VAT tax is a very hidden tax because it's done at every level. The most consumers, you're not going to see it as a separate line item on your receipt. So your bread is going to go from $4 to $7, and you're not going to know why. You're just going to know that you need bread and now have to pay more for it.
Yep.
It's a very hidden tax to the average consumer. So, there's nothing good about a VAT tax, nothing at all. I mean, I'm definitely more in favor of a consumption tax than an income tax or a VAT tax. They tried to make the two words interchangeable, which I think everyone in the room kind of shut that down very quickly. Right. A consumption tax is not a VAT tax. Consumption is basically a national sales tax. Someone else also brought up the flat tax, where everybody pays the same amount across the board. There's no manipulation of tax code. But they weren't in favor of that either. They wanted the personal income tax the way it's written now, although they say that they can try to lower it, which I don't know if they know these. For people who say they lobby, they must not really understand the people they're lobbying, because there ain't any way those guys are going to lower the income tax.
No.
I don't think they care.
I know. And then add on a VAT tax on top of that, which would just be devastating for the country. And this is the worst part, and then add on a tariff for all imports. So that means the cost of everything that you're importing is automatically going to go up because there's a higher tariff. And you're going to be doing a value-added tax on everything. So the already inflated cost because of the tariff is now going to be even higher because of a VAT tax. And then you're going to be taxing people's income. So you're basically going to devastate the consumer market. Just absolutely devastated, because you're going to find a loaf of bread at $12.
What I get from this as well is that ultimately these people love and trust big government, and they want every dime they can to flow to them because they think that the government is going to spend it properly and manage that money well, which they have never done.
And then, and nobody, and I don't think anyone caught this, and maybe they did, and I think everybody was so upset about the policy that nobody really said anything about it. But the same guy who basically says, well, it's so bad that we're importing all this metal just to defend our country in these wars, and it was a good thing, we needed to fix this so we could support our own wars with all the metal we have, and also said well, we as libertarians, no, listen. The fact that you cannot address the fact that we're at perpetual war makes you not a libertarian.
Yeah.
So you don't get to say we as libertarians, because you ain't one of us. You're advocating a VAT tax, an income tax. You're saying war is good. There is nothing about you that is libertarian, except that you can say the word founding fathers.
Yeah.
You got the political buzzwords. That's about
very
it.
gratuitous things here. Very, very gratuitous things. Well,
But
I know that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You got anything else you want to say on that subject?
No, I didn't. I was going to bring us to the next one.
Can we bring us to the fourth one first?
No.
Can we go to the Chris one?
Yeah, I know what you want, and I see you have it pulled up, but no.
She's
Okay.
denying you.
Next one. Sorry, can't. We can't. You're very authoritarian this morning.
Hey now.
There's a
ahead.
reason why it's in the order that it's in.
Go ahead.
And you're I started doing the show prep because your segues were bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're now killing mine.
That's what I'm here for. You're welcome. What are you talking about? You're welcome. Thank you. You should say thank you.
But definitely,
What a great job I'm doing.
you know, I think the better solution from the Monday night is to elect better people. And in electing better people, because this is how an actual segue works. In Virginia, there's a better person running for governor.
Go ahead.
And that was a great segue. You got to give her props. Come on.
That was good.
You ruined it.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
So, and this is something now George Will has even started writing about it, which I never thought that I'd actually be on here saying that there was a good article from George Will. Like, if you would have told me that a couple years ago, I'd have been told you were crazy. But everybody, the Robert Sarvis, for anyone who doesn't know, is the Libertarian candidate for governor in Virginia. Now, he's polling a little over 10% now. I think he's right about 13% now. But because of how they do, they decided not to just take the polling numbers for the last debate. They did an average of several polls, and he fell 0.2% short when you averaged out his polling numbers to be in the last debate.
And look, and they did it on purpose, by the way. Make no mistake about it. They changed the rules up on it. Then they go, well, it's going to be an average of all the polls, when normally that's not how they do
Right.
it. They do it off of one poll. Like Florida's going to say, we're doing it off of one poll, which just goes to show you these guys will do anything and everything to ensure that there's only a Democrat or Republican in there. And here's the thing. If this continues, more Republicans are going to lose because we're not going to back down as libertarians. Just not going to do it. I'm not playing your game. We're not playing your game, you dorks. Go ahead.
We can't play their game because they moved the goalposts.
Right.
Well, here's the game. The game we're going to play is Democrats win until Republicans get out of the way.
I'll play that game.
I'm playing that game all day long.
Because, and this is what happened is you know, Robert Sarvis was excluded from the last debate. But one of the sponsors of the debate, after this very large public outcry, actually asked the hosts if they would include him. So even a sponsor of the debate started to be on Sarvis' side and said, hey, you know what? I think they got a point here, guys, and we're getting a lot of backlash. Why don't you include him? And the person, and they've said this, McAuliffe, Terry McAuliffe, who is running on the Democrat side, said, okay, yeah, add him in. But Cuccinelli said no, who's the Republican. So this definitely, he was not added in because of Cuccinelli, who is the Republican in this race. Now, there's a lot of backlash coming from this, and it has given Sarvis a huge bump because every media outlet in Virginia is getting just, you know, bombarded with people saying, you know, cover him, and they're covering this to the point where George Will writes, and not only writes that Sarvis is getting excluded, but the headline is, Cuccinelli is far from the best choice for Virginia.
Yeah.
And he goes into why, and Cuccinelli, to me, is a very scary dude. I mean, this guy wants to outlaw everything. You know, he wants a police officer in every bedroom.
Yeah. Isn't he one of the people that was supporting a ban on oral sex?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically a ban on everything that...
Anything but missionary.
Yes. Yes. He wants a ban on everything, which would also outlaw gay people completely. And you know, people say, oh, well, and this is what I've heard, the argument, well, he doesn't support gay marriage. No. He not only doesn't support gay marriage, he wants to outlaw being gay.
He wants to criminalize being
Yes.
gay.
He wants to put people in jail for it. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
So you know, I think Cuccinelli is a horrible choice. Now, I did see another writer, which I actually didn't get to show you guys, but someone else actually, because, you know, you always hear the split the vote argument whenever libertarians are running. Someone else wrote and says, Sarvis isn't splitting the vote. Cuccinelli is splitting the libertarian vote, and asked him to get out of the race.
Yeah.
So this is, it's definitely been a big thing, but what I found most interesting is that late yesterday, an outside group called Purple Pack has decided to throw, and this is what they say, they are going to spend at least $300,000 buying ads for Robert Sarvis in the Virginia governor's race.
Nice.
Nice.
So he is going to get a huge boost. This just came out yesterday. They're launching a 6-figure television ad buy. It launched yesterday. I mean, they're painting him as the more appealing choice than Cuccinelli or McAuliffe. And these are going to run from now until the election, and this is huge in this Virginia's race. But this is also huge for Florida. And the reason why is because of all the media attention that's been coming nationwide about Sarvis polling so high but still being excluded. Adrian, who's running for governor as a libertarian here in Florida,
WileyForGovernor.com.
WileyForGovernor.com, is also, because he's polled very close to where Sarvis is now. He's actually already hit very close to there because he polled at 9% in the last poll that included his name. He's already getting media attention. The Florida Current, actually, as soon as this came out in Virginia, started calling him and wanting. So we're already kind of getting like some media attention here in Florida because of what's going on in Virginia. So I think, regardless of how this, obviously a 6-figure ad buy is certainly going to help Sarvis, but wherever Sarvis ends up, it's going to be in a good place, and that is going to be huge for what happens here in 2014 in Florida, because we have such a strong libertarian candidate like Sarvis, who is a very strong libertarian candidate in Virginia. I've seen his statements and his background, and he's great. Definitely very proud that he's running under the libertarian banner. And because we have such a strong candidate here, I think this is going to fare very, very well for Adrian coming up in 2014.
And all the people that have any misconceptions about Rand Paul being with us or not with us, I want you to understand that this Saturday, he's actually going to be up there for Ken Cuccinelli, up there in Virginia,
Yes.
in support of Cuccinelli, in opposition to Robert Sarvis. Again, let's make sure we get this right. Rand Paul is in opposition to Robert Sarvis. In opposition, not together, not like, well, if you're going to go out and stump for a guy that feels the way that this person feels, if you're going to stump for Cuccinelli, the guy that wants to outlaw blowjobs, I got to tell you, if there's something I want to actually punch somebody in the mouth for, it's anybody that wants to outlaw blowjobs. I believe that making a law to do that is a violation of the NAP, and that I have every right to hurt you now.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, 100%. So, this guy...
Hey now, blowjobs are an important part of the American economy.
That's America. That is America.
That's America, baby.
Blowjobs are America.
Blowjobs and bacon cheeseburgers. That's an
right.
essential part.
And
I think it's in the Constitution. That's one of the Bill of Rights.
I do. I think it is. But at any rate, for Rand Paul to go up there and do this is just stupid all day long. For Ron Paul to endorse this guy is stupid all day long. You quit playing these stupid games and do the right thing. But here's the thing. I don't care either way, because people are seeing through your dumbass Rand Paul and seeing what a scumbag you are for doing what you're doing. Going in there, I'm gonna go campaign for him. Why would you campaign for him? What the heck? Because he helped you out when he was a attorney general for a little bit. He really didn't do much anyway. It's just stupid. It's just stupid as all get out. But I'm glad you guys are doing it, because then I don't have to explain to nearly as many people why they shouldn't support you, because you're losing support left and right. Rand Paul, you are not running for office in 2016. You will not be running for Senate or for president. And if you do, it will not last long, because your support is gone. You have a very, very small minority of the Republican firsters that are staying in the liberty movement. Those people are going to be with you. But the ones that you thought you were going to get over there are now with Ted Cruz. They're not even with you.
Yeah.
And they're with you because you let Ted Cruz one-up you. You got one-up by Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Hope it feels good, guy. Hope it feels real good.
Well,
and again, Cuccinelli is going to lose. He's going to lose, and if you add Cuccinelli and Sarvis up, I'll guarantee you there would be enough people to get Cuccinelli elected. However, those people wouldn't have voted for Cuccinelli anyway, and the reason why is because he's a scumbag, criminal, piece of crap, social crusader. That's what he is, and people don't like that. Well, except for you, Rand Paul. Obviously, because you're a social crusader too, who's trying to hide as a libertarian, who tries to use this cloak of the mask of libertarian when it's to your advantage. But then when it's not to your advantage, you sit there in groups and you actually demean us. You actually insult us when you go in there. Well, I'm just not one of those guys that wants to run around all day long and smoke pot. Fuck you, Rand! How about that? I'm sick and tired of playing games with this guy. It's guys like this that are the problem. Rand Paul is the problem, not the solution. I'm telling you right now, he is not the solution. He's not the second coming. He is a scumbag. He is a politician that used a good movement that his father built in order to advance his own political career for no reason that is remotely related to liberty. Not even close.
apparently we're trying to break another microphone today.
Nice.
Sorry.
Certainly tried to break my eardrum.
Yeah,
I can't even keep control of
absolutely.
it. But that was awesome. I agree with everything you said.
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely, we're pulling for Robert Sarvis. We definitely, want to see him win. I think he's going to do really well, especially with this, nice influx of ad buys. I think this is going to be really good for him. And I think that this is going to prove to be very beneficial to Adrian, what's going on in Virginia. And so that's exciting. And it also looks like we do know that Charlie Crist is going to run. Because he did say yesterday at a Democrat gathering that he's going to announce his candidacy for governor probably in the first weeks of November.
Chain Gang Charlie. We got to make sure we bring that back, by the way. Another scumbag. Now he's a Democrat. Now I'll be even today. Charlie Crist, you're a scumbag too. And you know you are. You know what? Here's the thing. The bill that you signed... That was, what was that one? The one for the medical, for marijuana?
The Grow House bill.
The Grow House bill that you signed was the one they used to pull Kathy Jordan out of her house on. And then you want to come out here and try to flip-flop and say, oh, I will think that we need to relook at the drug policy. Yeah, we need to relook at having you in office, guy, because you're the one that put it together. All right? You're the one that put it together. But Charlie Crist does have a website now, charliecrist.com. And on it, he wrote the following statement. Tell me how I can help. Share your comments with me here. I'll read every last one. I work for you, the people. I always have. I always will. On my response to Charlie Crist, because I'm about to send him a little message right now, it says, do not run for governor and instead endorse Adrian Wiley for governor of Florida. And I suggest, and I just hit send, and I suggest that everybody does the same. Charlie Crist is looking to see how he can help. Hey, this is a good thing. Let's make sure that we send him over and say, we don't want your dumbass to run for governor. Instead, endorse Adrian Wiley, sit back and shut up, and let's wait till after the trial that you'll probably face because of all the corruption that we'll find that you did when you were governor of Florida, and then we'll give you a cell. A 10 by 10 foot cell that you can spend the rest of your days in. You, John Morgan, John Boehner, Barack Obama, Lindsey Graham, John McCain. I'll put all you scumbags in the same damn room. How about that? We'll put all y'all together because I know y'all like each other. I know this whole, well, you don't like each other, we're going to fight. That's all fake. So let's just stick y'all in one room and then we'll put about 30 or 40 child molesters in there. See what happens.
I do have to say
I hate you people.
that
Not you people on the air. I'm talking about the politicians.
One of the Republican National Committee women, Sharon Day, she does have, and I, not a fan of hers, but she does have a pretty funny quote. She says, it's pretty pathetic that the Democrats' farm team is so shallow that you have to go to Charlie Crist, who has been everything but the Wizard of Oz.
He's the wizard of the tanning booth.
But, so... it looks like in the next few weeks we are going to hear, Charlie Crist announce. I had actually heard that he wasn't going to announce until the beginning part of next year. So for him to move it up kind of shows that he thinks he thinks he needs to make up some time. He thinks he needs to make up some points. And even though polling shows Rick Scott much lower than him, I'm going to say that it's directly because Adrian Wiley has been out to every... he's been getting a lot of left support now, too, as far as, people are coming over from the left just as much as they're coming over from the right. So I think the split the vote argument, he realizes isn't going to work. And he needs to get out there a little early and start doing some work because people aren't going to just say, oh, yay, it's Charlie and vote for him.
Oh, I think this has everything to do because of Adrian.
Yeah, I really
think
do.
It has everything to do because of Adrian. Here's the thing. It's because of the events Adrian's been to over the past 2 weeks.
Yep.
And the support he's gotten from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're counting on short memories of the electorate to get Charlie's support because they have to be because apparently they don't remember that in 2 election cycles all the Democrats voted against Charlie Crist because he was the Republican.
Right.
So now all those people who had plenty of reasons not to vote for him and were very outspoken about why they were not voting for Charlie Crist, now they have to convince those people why they need to vote for Charlie Crist. And I think they've got a tougher road to hoe ahead of them than Adrian does to win as a libertarian.
Oh, I do too. I definitely think, and I think, especially from what we've seen lately and some of the events that we've gone to lately, Adrian does pull from both sides. there is no one side that can say, well, he pulls so much from me, that's why I'll lose. No. He pulls almost equally from both sides. And both of these guys have to really, really watch out for Adrian, but especially Charlie Crist, because he is the former Republican governor. He does not have his base secure in his own party, not at all. And we're pulling from that side very rapidly. So I definitely think that, him getting in early, because he was not, and he had said this publicly, he was not going to make an announcement till the beginning of next year. So for him to get into this race 2 months early, he knows he's got some ground to start to catch up on. And that is because of where we're at with the Wiley campaign. It definitely is. Because his polling numbers are well above Rick Scott. But the one thing that can change that rapidly is Adrian pulling from his base. And Adrian is pulling from his base, and in a large amount right now.
And we're going to continue to pull from that base. You know why? Because there's people that love liberty and freedom, and they're from all parties.
Yes.
And they do realize at a certain point that the former Republican governor may not necessarily be in line with your democratic values.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the one that's closer is actually Adrian. That's the thing. Adrian's closer no matter who you are. He's closer to what you believe. One, because he's honest. And two, because he's not a corporatist. And he's not a flip-flopper like Crist. And look, Charlie moves for who moves him. Who's he working for right now? John Morgan. You're not electing Charlie Crist, you're electing John Morgan. Do you really want an ambulance chaser running an office up there? Do you really want one? I don't think so. I don't think you want... That for the people thing is a lie, all right? If he was for the people, he'd have done something for Kathy Jordan while she was getting arrested instead of glamming on to marijuana later on. Because that's what you did, John. Jerk.
Yeah.
God, I don't like that guy.
No, there's we did some of the campaign events over the weekend, and I have to say, normally we go to campaign events all over the state, and I'm always there ready to switch people to be a libertarian. I mean, I am, on top of it. I have a big clipboard of registration forms. If someone says, oh, I've been thinking about changing to libertarian, I'm like, I can do it right now. I'm ready. And I switch a few here and there, but there's always a lot that say, well, I'm thinking about it, I'll let you know. We went to the Jacksonville Pride Fest over the weekend, and 1 out of every 5 people that walked by said, oh, I'm already a libertarian.
That's awesome.
And for the weekend, I did bring home 10 new libertarian registration forms, because I did get 10 people to switch. But most of the people a good portion of the people that walk by are like, yeah, I re-registered last year. And they're very recent, newly registered libertarians, and this is happening all over the place. But especially when we were in Jacksonville and we were at a lot of Pride Fest and things like that, very kind of what you would normally think of as a leftist event, where people were telling us, oh yeah, I switched a month ago, or I switched a year ago, I'm a libertarian. So people are seeing that, especially on the left, they are seeing that we are actually the party that really embodies real freedom and real equality and everybody being treated the same, which is what these people want, and we're not bought out by the corporations. And it was just very nice over the weekend to kind of see it wasn't even a hard sell. We didn't even have to do that much work. They were libertarians. They were like, oh great, now I know the name, thanks.
Yeah, you just gotta go out there and ask them. That's it. That's all you do. Go out there and ask them. They're there. That's all we gotta do. So why what my work last night was so important. So vital. Which I'm teasing it now though. I'm gonna tease it. But that's okay. Alright, hour number 1 is in the bag. Hour number 2 is coming up. We're gonna bring up a lot of local stuff about land grabs and blondies and Brandons and all kinds of stuff. So it's all gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time on a Friday. Website is 1787network.com. We will be back in a couple minutes.
This is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Listen to the words of the man with the rifle in his hand. Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snitker and Adrian Wiley on the 1787 Radio Network.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Liberty Underground, live on 10 Talk 1340. If you would like to call the program, the number is 1-800-525-4032. That is 1-800-525-4032. We are also heard live on YouTube, so if you want to hear the first or the third hour of the show, you can go to youtube.com and type in the 1787 Network, and you can find us hanging out there.
I mean, you could go there for the second hour too, but then, if you're listening to us on Tan Talk, you might as well just listen to us there.
Okay. All right. I'll go with that. That's true. You're not lying. So.
Well, you just made it sound like if you listen to hour 1 or hour 3 on YouTube, you didn't say that hour 2 is actually on YouTube as well.
Yeah, that hour is on YouTube as well. But if you listen to 1787 or if you listen to Tan Talk 1340, I would prefer you listen to hour number 2 on Tan Talk 1340.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, listen to us there, but it's not like it's not available.
Okay. All right, then go with it.
See how segues get derailed really easily?
In studio with us is Danielle Alexandre, Greg Bowen. Hopefully everybody's doing well. You guys doing good?
Yep, doing well.
Yep, doing great.
All right, let's get to it. Hey, now, let's get to it. We only got an hour in this thing, man. Let's go.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, Danielle.
We do a lot of local stuff, and in Pasco County, which is where we live, we'd actually talked about this a few months back, where Pasco County actually was doing a land grab, basically where they were holding your zoning permits hostage unless you donated land to them. So big developers would have to donate a large, a good portion of their land to the county just in case they ever wanted to put a roadway through it. They'd already own the land, and you couldn't get your zoning permits until you did this. They didn't pay you for the land. They would just take it. You actually had to give it to them, gift it to them. Well, one land developer said, well, wait a minute, that's kind of a little unconstitutional that you take my land or hold my zoning permits hostage till I give you something. So took them to court, and Pasco County this week has decided that they do want to settle. Now, the original suit was for about $5.8 million, but Pasco is is sending over a settlement agreement for $1.3 million.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, that was almost sounded just like him, didn't it? Was that? Damn. Hold on. Damn. I can't do it. Sorry. At any rate, just goes to show you, here's $1.35 million that also has now been wasted by the County Commission of Pasco County.
Well, and here's the thing. They never should have thought that this was going to be okay. I mean, there's nothing about this that was ever constitutional.
Yeah.
You can't just take people's land, and you certainly can't hold their zoning permits hostage until they give you land. I mean, that's ridiculous that you just can't do that. But what this does do, and they're appealing basically the court's decision. But in this appeal, and some of the problem comes into is this is just one developer who decided to stand up and say, no, I'm not bribing you to put a development here. But a lot of other companies did, in fact, bribe them, with this mandatory bribe to the county. And this actual ruling could mean that all of these other developers have standing and can actually sue Pasco County for the value of the land that they had to deed back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. No, they're going to be able to do that. Again, this is when you have government going so far out of the way. Now, this is the advantage of local vice federal, is that when you have a local organization like the Pasco County Commission do something so blatantly unconstitutional, something they should have known better, but they thought that the judges were going to side with them because they don't have really a lot of power against the judges. The judges are able to make a much a better decision than if it was like on a federal level. So Pasco County, we lost, but we lost because of all of the county commissioners doing dumb things. This should cost them their jobs when it comes time for re-election. Just to show you that, just 4 of the, how many they got? They got 5 there, right?
There's 5.
Yeah, 3 of the 5 for sure. Well, one of them's not running again.
Right.
Schrader, the wife beater, he definitely needs to never be in office again. He shouldn't have won to begin with. Starkey, same thing happened with Starkey. She should have never been up there anyway. Muleri's not running for re-election, so that's good. And then the other 2, Jack Mariano and who's the other guy?
Henry Wilson.
Henry Wilson. Wilson's made some good votes. Jack's made some good votes. All in all, I
don't hate them.
Yeah, I don't hate them, but we'll see what happens. I mean, Jack's done some good things. But at the same time, he's done some bad things too. I mean, first off, supporting Gunter was a horrible move on his part.
Yeah, I want to see, and I definitely want to go back into the records on when this ordinance was put in place, because this is actually a fairly new ordinance, which basically, forced anyone who was developing land, even a private citizen who just wanted to put a house on their own land, basically forced them to bribe the county. And so I do want to see who actually voted on that and how they voted, because at least those people definitely need to go. Anyone who voted yes, that was a good idea to force business people or private citizens to bribe the county to get a zoning permit, those people have to go. And they have to go quickly. No part of this was good. I mean, this is going to be devastating to an already tight budget in Pasco, and next year when you hear, oh, well, we have to raise the millage rate because we don't have any money. Yeah, you don't have any money because you've made bad ordinances and everyone's been able to sue you because of it.
Yeah, they've been so bad that you got sued.
So, taking, basically, and because you can force the people to make up the difference from all these lawsuits because of your bad judgment, that's just ridiculous. So there needs to be some people losing their job over this. This was bad all the way around. And anyone who has even heard this has basically said right off the bat, you can tell right away, this never should have been a law. Never.
Yeah. Yep, it never should have been a law.
But you are right. At least on the local level, when you bring things to the local level, you have judges who aren't bought and paid for, aren't kind of in bed with all the legislators, and you can get more honest judgments.
Well, I don't think they're intimidated.
Right. No,
like,
I do.
What can the Pasco County people do to them?
Nothing. Yeah, absolutely nothing. So I do think you see a far better representation of, good judgments with judges. Obviously, there's always going to be, bad things that happen all the way around everywhere. But I think on the more local level, you have, at least better judgments coming through. And obviously you see it with this, where they did do the constitutional, did rule this unconstitutional. But, in the Florida Supreme Court, we don't know what's going to happen, as Pam Bondi actually takes the medical marijuana petition to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Again, this is about the biggest example of hypocrisy that I think that I've seen in quite some time. And what you have is Pam Bondi, the woman that said that she was going to challenge Obamacare in the courts. Remember, a federal law she was going to challenge. We all supported this. Now she's using the feds as the reason why she is going to challenge medical marijuana, and she's going to be supporting the feds' position on this, as opposed to what she was doing before, which was challenging the feds' position on an issue. Just to show you the utter hypocrisy of this woman. So this is from the Miami Herald, from the blog there. It says Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi told the state's high court that the backers of a proposed constitutional amendment calling for medical marijuana are misleading voters. Now, this is where it's crap all day long. They're not actually misleading voters. This thing was more restrictive than what Puff'em used to have.
Right.
They made it more restrictive, which I don't even like.
Right. I don't either.
The proposed amendment and its ballot summary that voters would say, which needs to be reviewed by the Florida Supreme Court before being placed on the 2014 ballot, calls for legalization of medical marijuana for debilitating diseases. But Bondi, in her office's court filing, said the amendment goes farther, than the ballot summary indicates that the sponsor, People United for Medical Marijuana, is hiding the ball about the true effect of their proposal. And this is what Bondi says. This is what's just classic, or what she wrote. If the amendment passes, Florida law would allow marijuana in limitless situations. Lie. I mean, shouldn't she be allowed to go to? Shouldn't we be able to put her in jail for lying? You know, you'd think.
Well, I would think so. I definitely.
I'm not having fun.
I'm not having any fun.
Any physician could approve marijuana for seemingly any reason to seemingly any person of any age, including those without any debilitating disease, so long as the physician held the opinion that the drug use would likely outweigh the risks. Florida would be powerless to stop it. So what Pam Bondi is saying, by the way, and this is something supported by the Republican Party, what Pam Bondi is saying is the relationship between you and your doctor and what the doctor is going to make a decision as to relates towards your care is not something that you and your doctor can make the decision of without Pam Bondi getting involved in it. Again, the reason she was fighting, and she's said this on many occasions, which is why I'm calling her the blonde hypocrite, is that she was saying she didn't want to get in the way between a doctor-patient relationship and that Obamacare was going to do this. Well, I guess it's not just Obamacare that was going to do this. I guess it's your dumbass. We can say that on the air, right? Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah, you can say that.
I mean, really.
You know, it's... And I don't agree with her. I actually think the summary, because I've read the bill text and I've read the summary, and I think the summary actually sums it up fairly well. I think I don't actually support this amendment, and the reason why I don't support it is because I feel like it's too restrictive, because I feel like it still gets way too far in the way of a doctor-patient relationship, where a doctor who thinks that a patient would benefit from medical marijuana will not be able to get it because it's not one of the, approved debilitating diseases. And I don't even like the fact that it says a debilitating disease. I mean, I'm sorry, but if a doctor feels like as a patient you would benefit from a medical treatment, you should be allowed to use that medical treatment. That's between you and your doctor.
Yeah, I thought that's what we were all about. Well, and again, I'd like to, and somebody posted this inside the comment section of the article from the Miami Herald, but I'd actually like to find out. I'd like to go back at Pam Bondi's donors and see which ones belong to Big Pharma.
Oh, I'm sure there's a huge amount. Well, and I have
because that's who's making this law.
Well, you know who's, and I have this actually, in 1 month, the Republican Party, and this is the national party. This is not just in the state, but this is the national party. But their biggest contributor, or their second biggest contributor to the Republican Party, just last month was AstraZeneca Pharmaceuticals.
How much?
That was $50,000. That's in 1 month.
I think you might be wrong there.
AstraZeneca Pharmaceuticals. Oh, 100,000. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was looking at the wrong line.
I got you.
It's $100,000 in 1 month from AstraZeneca Pharmaceuticals, and also $50,000 came from Purdue Pharma LP. So big pharmaceutical companies in 1 month gave the Republican Party $150,000. And these are generally monthly contributors.
Yeah.
So you'll see this over the course of the year. That will be $50,000 per month.
Mm-hmm.
AstraZeneca will be giving $100,000 per month, which will come out to a little over $1 million by the end of the year. Now, this is the national party, because I do want to say, I want to have all the facts out there. This isn't just Florida, but they are one of the biggest contributors to the Republican Party is pharmaceutical companies.
Mm-hmm. I wonder why they have such a staunch opposition to the ganja. I think that might be the reason why. And again,
probably for the same reason it was made illegal in the first place.
Exactly. Because they have a lot more money to be made by making it illegal than by making it legal. That's the thing. And
there's other reasons too.
Well, there's other reasons for it as well. But it's another example that you cannot trust these guys. Pam Bondi, who literally went to the Supreme Court to make her case why the Fed shouldn't be involved in medical decisions is now putting a lawsuit to stop. And remember this, she's putting up a lawsuit to stop you, the people, from being able to vote on something. This is not like it's going to pass. It means it's going to be on the ballot. And
Right.
And Pam Bondi wants to stop that from happening, no matter what. Now the Republicans in the House and the Senate can fix this problem very, very easily, and they can just pass it themselves. They don't need. You can take away all the stuff you want from John Morgan, because it's not like we like John Morgan, and it's not like John Morgan is actually look. He's buying to get this thing onto the ballot, which in some ways is not a bad thing or a good thing. But he hasn't contacted any of the libertarians that have signed up to be able to do stuff, or if they have, it's been very, very limited. But none of the leadership and other people that have reached out to John Morgan or to now United for Care that have tried to do things with them have been ignored. Roger Stone, who's a big supporter of this thing, has been stonewalled by John Morgan and them.
Well, and every libertarian, because this is a huge issue that libertarians do want to, I mean, we want to see a full ending of prohibition of marijuana. But, you know, a lot of us do realize that medical marijuana at least would be a step in the right direction and could lead to the ending of prohibition down the road. But any libertarian that has contacted United for Care, which used to be Puffum, has basically not been called back. You know, I mean, they do not get a call back. They're not welcome in this organization whatsoever. You know, I mean, and like you said, listen, the Kathy Jordan Medical Cannabis Act is going to be reintroduced this year. Republicans can get on board and pass it. And this whole political football, you know, political ploy that John Morgan's trying to do would be absolutely useless because it would already be passed. But to even try to fight this, medical marijuana has 73% approval. In the St. Pete polls, they show it at 73%. PPP shows it at 62%. But even that, it's a huge majority. And the majority, and you would need 2/3. You would need 60% support to get the amendment passed to make it a constitutional amendment. And we have it. The support is there. So to even try to fight this is stupid. It's stupid if you want to say you represent the people. Why would you fight an issue that the people overwhelmingly support? It just doesn't make any sense. You know, the legislature for sure should just go ahead and pass this, you know, number one, and not even worry about the stupid ballot initiative because we don't need it. We don't need a ballot initiative. This thing should already pass. It should have been done last year.
Hold on just a minute.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to keep, you know, prolonging this fight. This thing with Pam Bondi is absolutely ridiculous that she would even try to do this. And again, it just shows that the Republican Party is bought by the pharmaceutical agencies.
Yeah. Well, we can only show you the proof.
Right.
Yeah. It's not like they hide it. You know, there's
Well,
not.
they can't. It's public record.
It's not a hidden agenda. It's not the hidden agenda that they were like going to talk about here. It's the actual agenda that they're doing. It sucks so bad that there's so much evil in this world, guys. I'm sorry. I really wish there wasn't. I wish there wasn't so much evil, but there is. These guys are not fun. I'm not having a good time here.
I'm not having any fun.
I'm not having any fun. I'd have a lot funner if you just legalize it for me, if you don't mind. You want to shut me up? Just do that, please.
We do have a caller on the line.
Oh, we have a caller on the line. Oh, hey, caller, you're on the air.
Charco the Chicken, guys.
Hey, Charco, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing really great. It was great seeing you and Danielle in person and serving you a bit of wine. I wish it could have been longer, and I totally forgot to give you some avocados, and I just feel terrible. But anyway, I couldn't add anything to what you've been saying. All you've been saying is exactly right, and I want to plug www.100kstrong.net. That's 100kstrong.net. That is the effort to get the state of Florida to treat veterans from other states who are already medical pot patients like they're medical pot patients instead of treating them like they're criminals, which is what we do right now. And so we're trying to shame our politicians into doing it, and it's going to happen. This won't take up any of your campaign time for Adrian Wiley. Campaign as hard as you can for Adrian Wiley, but also do this, and this will happen after it's on November, I think, 5th it starts, or 6th. The election day it starts. But it's basically a tour around the state of Florida camp people and veterans from all over, it turns out. And it's growing really big, and I'm hoping that we can get a lot of support.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is a good thing, too. This is, and on the site for 100K Strong is our group consists of veterans from all branches of service who have served both in times of peace and in times of conflict. These veterans have recognized the value of cannabis for treating ailments commonly experienced by veterans and their family members. And what this is to get the veterans to go ahead and come out there and support the initiative to get this on the ballot. And again, this is to get it on the ballot. Well, no. This isn't to get on the ballot. This would actually be the
we want more than that.
Yeah,
actually.
they would pass it.
I mean, if Pam Bondi is successful, in a way, I almost think it's good. I mean, I can't stand that bitch. Okay, I'll just say it. But in a way, it's good because we shouldn't be cluttering our Constitution up with things like you can't smoke in bars and like you should treat pigs like they're actually God's creatures before you kill them and all that. And we do clutter our Constitution up with that. And so she's making the right argument, but the precedent is so far against her that at this point we need this to pressure our slimeball legislators into having a chance to do anything because our legislature is such slime.
Yeah.
But when
Hey,
you talk to people one-on-one-
James, real quick. James, just make sure that you understand before you go any further that we are on AM radio as well. So just continue to go. Just make sure you know that.
Okay. When you talk to people one-on-one, and I will try to restrain myself, you find out that everyone thinks that Kathy Jordan should be allowed to just grow her medicine in her yard, and no one thinks that some giant conglomerate monopoly should be growing her medicine like in New Jersey, where they're going to end up forcing her into the black market because it's more expensive to buy from a monopoly that's screwed up by the government than it is to buy from the black market in New Jersey at this point. Patients are going back to the black market because it's so bad. And what they did in New Jersey is, I mean, with good feelings, I'm certain, and good intentions, they traded one monopoly for another. And I'm scared that's what's going to happen in Florida, too, because our legislature is such, and I'm going to hold my language here,
thank you,
effing nitwits.
Yeah, there really are. It's really pathetic that this thing couldn't even get for a vote last time. That it got stopped in committee. It was horrible.
Over bongs instead.
Yeah, that's the thing. You want to go over the dumb stuff. And again, this comes down to freedom. It comes down to what you choose to put in your body is your business. It's not the government's business. It's something we're all supposed to be able to agree on. That's the truth of it. We're all supposed to be able to agree on this stuff. And the fact that we can't come to an agreement that we have, well, here's the thing. The people have come to an agreement. You have 70% that support medical. 70. This is not a low number of people. That's in the state of Florida, that if you put 10 people in a room, 7 of them are going to say, yeah, we ought to do that.
Yeah. And this is after all kinds of government propaganda for all our lives, and government hiding the ball when it comes to cannabis and science as far as the cancer cure is concerned, and various other, ailment cures. As Kathy Jordan makes obvious, she wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, she would not. This woman would not be alive without this stuff. And again, you can say that's not what you like, and that's fine with me. I don't care if you like it or not. Just don't send guys with guns to knock down women's houses if they don't agree with you. And that's really what it comes down to. We're not going to make people use it.
A lot of people don't even know the Kathy Jordan story, and I don't know it all that well, but I can just tell you the brief condensed version of it. And basically, while cannabis was saving her life and prolonging her life, despite ALS, which is a ravaging disease, the worst deck of cards that life could ever deal you, while it was doing that, she took a megadose of cannabis oil lozenges because of the neuroprotectant effect and because it was going to hopefully help her ALS. And 5 days later, they're cutting out a 10-pound ovarian cyst out of her gut because the doctor said, we've never seen anything like this. This cancer has cut off its own blood supply. And if they hadn't cut it out of her, she'd have died because the cancer died, and there was so much of it dying. But she took an overdose of cannabis and felt awful, but you can't overdose as far as dying goes, because the LD50 is something like 40,000 times a feelable dose.
Oh, hey,
so
you
can't just smoke that much.
Exactly. No, and let me cut you off though, because we got to take a break. We've got Brandon coming up. So, James, thanks for calling, and we just shared that on all the. Thank you very much, by the way. Thanks for bringing it up. I forgot all about it. So,
thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, we got to take
your service, Alex.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Hey, let's take a break. When we get back, we got Brandon Jones, Global Dispatch, going to give us some more news that you need to know. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back, Liberty Underground. I don't think I can hear myself. Okay, can you hear me? All right, we'll go anyway, though. If you'd like to call the Refresh Telecom lines, the number is 1-800-525-4032. That is 1-800-525-4032. But on the line with us, not yet.
No,
huh?
he is not on the
All
line.
right, not yet. We'll go. You know what? Let's go to the Global Dispatch anyway. I'm sure he'll be calling here shortly.
Well, we were talking about how the Republican Party is basically bought by the pharmaceutical agency, how Pam Bondi is trying to fight, medical marijuana. But the city of Clearwater also is trying to fight what I feel like is, the most natural way of healing your body, and that is with fruits and vegetables in a nice farmer's market. And the city of Clearwater has said no. There is no farmer's market allowed in Dunedin. This would be in the Dunedin Green Market was going to be setting up a farmer's market every weekend in Countryside High School, actually donating half of the profits to the high school. And the city of Clearwater said, no, we don't want your farmer's market. It can't be at Countryside High School parking lot, and has said no green market down in Clearwater. It is against zoning rules.
What? Okay. We want people to eat better, right? So setting up a marketplace in which people would be able to eat better could be considered a good thing. And that half of the profits that are going to a school.
Right, to help the local school.
To help the local school, which helps make sure that there's, the children's is getting educated.
Because this was actually for the children.
Yeah, this one was for the children. For them to block this is I don't even. Again, these people leave me speechless sometimes just because of their no farmers market. What?
No, we're not going to let you help raise money for the school, but we need a new city hall.
Yeah.
We need our new palace.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the and you've been seeing this a lot in the news if you're in Clearwater. I mean, every media outlet has weighed one way or another on the new aquarium / city hall. Because everyone wants to say this is about a new aquarium, but let's face it, this is actually about a city hall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. This is about a new city hall.
And, and they're basically saying the gloves are off on the referendum. The debate heats up. Media outlets on both sides have come out, some in favor, some opposed. You're seeing this all over. Vote yes, vote no. But in the end, everybody in Clearwater, do your research on this. Vote as an educated voter, because this is not about a new aquarium. This is about a new city hall.
Yep.
And people in Clearwater need to understand that. And get rid of your people that don't want farmers markets.
Yeah.
You people in Clearwater, get rid of these guys.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely you need to get rid of these people. On the line with us is the purveyor of the Global Dispatch, Brandon Jones. Brandon, how you doing?
Oh, happy like a dog with a ball and a bone.
Oh, nice. Very, very nice, man. All right, where do you want to go first, man?
Hey, man, we got to get to the week of Obamacare website. It's been action-packed. Nothing glorifies the incompetence of the Obamacare rollout as the website does, and it's bad, and this will be our top story tomorrow morning. If you'd like to join us 8 to 9 here on Tan Talk, as we begin with the Jon Stewart scathing parody of the Obamacare website. But when you have Bob Beckel coming out and saying, listen, all I did was say that I thought that we should consider delaying it because it's making our president and our party look bad, and the White House calls him and to, quote, bludgeon him. So they're a little possessive and protective of the Obamacare situation. And our headline right now is one of the latest that have gone public about the job loss associated with Obamacare, as an Indiana hospital network is announcing how many hundreds of jobs they're going to be cutting and pointing directly to the ACA.
Now, let me ask you a question, Brandon. As a person that does have a website, if you were to have and let's say you were going to put everything that you could possibly want on your website, everything that you could possibly think of, what's the most amount of money that you could spend on a website?
Actually, it's funny you say that, because I think I'd done a lot of research. We posted on this, so those of you that don't know, $634 million was spent. Digital Trends says that more was spent on this website than LinkedIn and Spotify combined.
Wow.
Now, of all the talking heads, I think only Glenn Beck spoke about actually spending, he says, upwards of $100 million that they've spent over the course of, 5 years? So not all at one time. He's just saying that's how much they have spent. They've spent 6 times that, and it's described as, quote, having mid-1990s technology.
And they
failed the test runs.
And here's the thing. They went with a Canadian company to make it, right? The one that failed before.
Yeah, we're all worried about U.S. jobs, and we still didn't even use American people to write a website. We went out of the country to get a Canadian group do it, to use 1990s technology. It didn't even pass the test. It failed the test phase with hundreds of people crashing it. Now, my site has crashed. My site crashed during your show once.
Right.
When you get into the multiples of thousands of people that can hit a single page within X number of minutes. So, for instance, when you have 18,000 people in an hour, but they're all trying to get to one specific page, many times, if you're on one server or even 2 servers, it will crash. For $634 million, I think I got a couple more servers. So I can't imagine it being as bad as it is, unless they just don't really care.
Well, I think the fact that it failed the test before they opened it and they still opened it kind of says something.
Yeah.
Well, and look at how possessive and how they treated the Bob Beckel story. He's not the only one. There is a CNN person that's come forward and said, yeah, they were mean to me too. But it just shows that this is going to happen. They're going to steamroll it right down your throats, whether you like it or not. They don't care if the website works or not. They don't care that only hundreds of people have signed up. They're not going to tell us how many actually have, because at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. It's not all part of the agenda anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They have a whole different agenda. And it's unfortunate that this is what these people are doing, but this is what you have to have. Now, it's also the other thing about the Obamacare website, about healthcare.gov's website, is they had the time to do this. It's not like the law was just passed. It wasn't implemented till now because they needed that time in order to get it to this point, so it would roll out properly. The fact that they couldn't even get a website to sign up for Obamacare running has to show you that there is no possible way on earth that you want the government dealing with your health care.
They couldn't even build the website, and you want to trust them with your health?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the servers
Website,
that host
the website,
healthcare.
more money was spent on the website than LinkedIn, and let that sink in, folks. More money spent on than LinkedIn and Spotify combined.
And both of those
Not,
websites
work.
work.
One or the other. These are massive websites. I'm talking about millions of users go to these websites. So they've spent more than that combined. It's incredible the ineptitude that is on display here.
The servers that host healthcare.gov are crashing like crazy, but the servers that record your login to healthcare.gov and monitor your other internet traffic are running just fine.
Oh yeah, those things are working great.
Oh, yeah.
Those things are working great. Which really goes to show you that, again, I would say that these guys wanted this to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, your NSA things, Toby works out great. You know, I mean, why can't you do it that way?
Well, I've said from the beginning, I'm pretty sure I've heard both of you say this before. Obamacare, the ACA, is designed to fail.
Yeah.
It's designed to collapse upon itself and push people to go, well, let's
Single
just
payer.
go to single payer.
Yeah.
Well, because they're going to destroy anything left of the free market of medicine, or they think they are. The problem for them is they're actually going to, again, I will say that they've done a favor by putting this thing out there, because people are leaving the health insurance altogether and they're going direct pay to doctors. That will be a trend that continues, and that is going to save healthcare in this country at the end of the day.
Well, I will argue against you, and I'm going to go back to 2010, our Desk of Brian days, when we posted a letter that we'd gotten through the Dennis Kucinich campaign. And I don't agree with Dennis Kucinich on pretty much anything. However, he was one of the most honest politicians we may have ever had, because he just didn't care. He'd tell you the truth. And he wrote a letter explaining to people that were kind of back and forth about some of the details of Obamacare when it was being put together. And he said, don't worry about it. It's basically just designed to move us closer in towards a one-payer system. So the only piece that I would add to what Alex just said, asserting that doctors and nurses can go to direct pay, will be, I guarantee you what you will see, the authoritative state will hold their license over their head if they don't play ball.
No, there's definitely some truth to that.
Yeah.
No, there's
they control it. They've controlled it for years. I mean, I worked very directly in medical billing from an auditing standpoint, and got to deal with a Medicare audit and all that. They were authoritative back then. I can't imagine how much worse it is now with the amount of technology. So I cannot imagine that they will not continue to fence you in to play ball and play according to their rules from a healthcare standpoint. That's why many doctors are like, I'm just fed up. I'm leaving. I'm not going to take Medicare patients. I'm not going to take Medicaid patients. They don't want to be a part of it, because it's so bad.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, and they've already made the rules where you can't even go in and negotiate with a doctor, because you can't go below the Medicare or Medicaid line. And that's a regulation. If you would charge, you can't charge any person less, even if they come in very sick and say, listen, I only have $25, you can't care for them, because that would be under the Medicaid, Medicare line.
Yep. Yeah, this is bad news for everybody, and everybody's going to end up paying for this. The people that thought that they were, that were looking out for the poor, that were looking out for the indigent, that were looking out for people that were in bad situations, and that sponsored this, or that wanted this bill to pass, you're going to hurt those initially that you wanted to support the most. You're going to hurt those people, whether you know it or like it or not. That's just the facts. And, when you use the government to try to stand on some moral high ground, this is the kind of reaction that you're going to get.
Well, and that's going to be the argument to going to single payer.
Yep, that's exactly what it'll be. What else is out there, Brandon?
Well, if that wasn't enough to ruin your morning, allow me to go to the Department of Homeland Security. And if you had not seen, we are now going to be spending between $70 million and $80 million to add additional armed protective service agencies for Homeland Security. And if I can read from some of their job descriptions, temporary additional services for, quote, increased security for special offense, high-profile access to visitor buildings, extension of existing hours, etc., noting IRS building. So they're expecting, I guess, some resistance at some of the IRS facilities. And then under emergency services, their job description includes large and small-scale events, natural disasters, and civil disturbances. So Homeland Security, in the heels of our government shutdown, has expanded their staff by 75 to 80 million to prevent you from protesting, marching, getting inside an IRS building or a civil disturbance. So just to let you know what Big Brother's up to today.
Now, here's something else that I don't know how well this will, I don't know if you think this correlates with the rest of it, but when they did go through and work through their compromise to get the government back running again, even though it was running anyway, but to get the government back running again, what they did was they gave Obama an unlimited debt ceiling. So if they're anticipating all these problems, what they're trying to do is spend as much money as possible and get all these things done now while Obama has an unlimited debt ceiling to be able to do this, because they know the fight's coming up in February or January or whenever it is to increase the debt ceiling again. But they're going to be well prepared to be able to withstand if it does go south, that they're just going to do a lot more things and pay for a lot more stuff beforehand to make sure that they can keep that going. And if anybody tries to get in the Lincoln Memorial this time, they're just going to shoot them.
Well, and I think that's been, I guess we still have to classify it as a conspiracy theory, but many people have told me and believe that they know a collapse is coming. They know a complete bottom out is inevitable. They cannot stop it from happening. So the thought process is print money, spend money, hand over fist, build this amazing, giant, massive totalitarian infrastructure while you can, so that whenever you arrive there, you're prepared. You physically can handle the masses, the millions of people, the people that have exercised their Second Amendment and have guns, but they outgun and outman you by 10, if not 100-fold, so they're prepared for their authoritative reign, because they know it's going to come eventually. Even if it's not during this man's administration, it'll be during the next administration. And the nice thing that has transpired, I think, during the government shutdown is that many people, even the mainstream press, are no longer denying that basically the difference between Democrats and Republicans has narrowed. That basically it's just like one giant party. There's very few of them that will fight for anything. They'll almost all just roll over on a dime. So from a standpoint of people that want to see the apple cart turned over and changed, that's been a good thing.
Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely it has. Absolutely it has. What else is out there, Brandon?
Well, let's run through just a couple quickies. Food stamps. We have cuts in food stamps coming in November, so if you didn't think the EBT failures was enough, keep your eye on the news and see how that plays out when people realize that 15 to 20% less in their card will be showing up in November. That's part of the stimulus bill expiring. We're going to cover it on our show tomorrow, so feel free to call us. We're going to talk about bullying, both in schools and from teachers. We have a teacher in Florida who duct taped the girl to the chair, not just her mouth. We bound and tied her. So, and we also have the child that was shot in California for having the pellet gun. My son is actually going to call and talk in. He's going to talk about his own personal experiences being bullied, and as well as he's an advocate of airsoft and things like that and these type of guns. So he's going to talk about both issues with me. A great story from Ohio of a boy that was asked to, in a writing comp class, write a poem, and he could write anything he wanted. Well, the football team had just lost that week. So he wrote a poem called Stupid, and it went something like this. Losing season, nonstop passes from best friend to best friend, continuing to do what doesn't work, drop passes, but you're still the superstar. Yeah, right. Where's my scholarship? I can drop passes. And needless to say, that didn't go well, and he got kicked off the football team. But even worse, because he was described as bullying, he got kicked out of school for a couple days. There you go, tolerance from the left.
What a bunch of crap.
Really, that is funny. Now, speaking of bullies, there's one other article that is on your website that I thought was that was pretty good, and that was the one of Chris Matthews, the MSNBC. You had a couple MSNBC ones out there, but one thing that they said this. One thing that I think it was Chris Matthews said, and he talked about Ted Cruz, and he goes, "This is McCarthyism. Disagree with this guy and be prepared for the accusations we are witnessing. I think the greatest challenge to moderates and reasonable conservatives in modern history." I do love the fact that these DNC socialists on MSNBC are going to say that progressives, moderates, and reasonable conservatives somehow have some kind of an agreement. Because here's the thing. If they actually had that, if that was actually the truth, it was actually the case, then MSNBC's numbers would be much higher than they are right now.
That's correct. They're fourth. They're not even in the game.
Yeah, they're the lowest. Now the thing is,
they're below like headline news most of the time.
Right.
Yeah, and the reason is because people don't want to hear the specific instructions from Barack Obama, because that's all these people have. They have nothing. Anybody that was even remotely good on their network has been thrown off or told to leave or have just left. I mean, they've had good people like. Even a guy that I wouldn't always agree with, like Dylan Ratigan, at least was honest on the air, at least from his perspective. Cenk Unger, who does the Young Turks, who actually gets more views on his YouTube channel than MSNBC gets. You know, Cenk was doing him a favor by going on there.
Yeah, he upped their ratings.
Yeah, and he's a progressive, but I think he's more of one that he'll call out his own people like he'll call out anybody. But they just throw those people off. But then you put people like Al Sharpton on there. You know what I mean? Like. You put it horrible. I mean, he's a despicable human being. You know, another guy that's an admitted socialist like Lawrence O'Donnell. Lawrence O'Donnell, it's not like I'm calling him a name. I'm accurately describing his ideological viewpoint.
Well, that's actually his words. He actually said, "I am a socialist."
Yeah, I am a socialist. That's what these people are. And this is anti-American. Don't tell me. These guys want to say they're the Americans. No, you're not. You are the radical, and I'll use the word radical infestation in our society of your socialist ideology. And we went to war with England over crap like this. You know what I mean?
This is why they think of John McCain and Lindsey Graham as conservatives, because they're so far beyond left. They're not even left anymore. Left is long gone.
Yeah.
It's now socialist now. Just so we clarify the whole story, what Ted Cruz said that got him compared to a McCarthy was when he went back to Texas, they had a standing ovation for 8 minutes, and he said something about, well, after being in Washington, D.C. for so long, it's nice to be with some real Americans.
Yeah, exactly.
That was what he said, because he was, discussing it with Texans who are, so therefore it was taken into this, and it's not the first time they call him McCarthy or whatever. Someone else, I think, CNBC, we have a clip on there where they made a racist remark about playing Mexican music when the Ted Cruz segment came on and things like that. And you know what? If I were Ted Cruz, I'd take all this as a compliment. I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
I would too.
So,
Yeah,
it's been that kind of week, folks. There's plenty of it there. Feel free to type any of that in.
Yeah, exactly. The website is The Global Dispatch, theglobaldispatch.com. Brandon, thank you so much. We appreciate you calling in today, brother.
I'll sneak in one last thing, Alex. You got to go check out the Captain America trailer, brand new.
I watched that yesterday. It's awesome.
I did watch it yesterday, and
you shared it out, didn't you?
Yeah, I did share it out. He did jump out of the plane with no parachute.
Yes.
It was a great line, isn't it? Just so no parachute? Yep, that's pretty much what he does.
Yeah, that's what he does, which is cool. I mean, this is going to be a good movie, I think.
I'm very excited about the Winter Soldier.
It's going to be fun. It's really going to be fun.
The Winter Soldier himself
anyway, guys,
looks really
have a good weekend. Talk hard.
Talk hard,
Talk
Brandon.
hard.
All right, Brandon Jones, always bringing stuff in. And I did want to make sure I brought that article up because I looked at that article in the Global Dispatch about these guys on MSNBC. I mean, they are unapologetic in their, and they're liars, though. Here's the thing. Look, I know Fox News lies. I know they don't tell the truth, and the Fox News is not necessarily a good station. But, man, they're nothing compared to what MSNBC does. It ain't even close
No.
what MSNBC does.
And the people they bring on are just ridiculous. Like Al Sharpton, you brought up Al Sharpton. As far as I'm concerned, Al Sharpton is the CEO of the racism industrial complex. I mean,
big racist. It's big racism.
I mean, yeah. If there is a race card to be played, he's got the deck, and it's waiting. I mean,
he's got the deck.
Dude, he calls white bread racist. Why can't we have black bread?
Yeah, I mean that's. I mean,
oh, somehow when it's burnt, it's black, and that means it's bad. That's racist. You guys are racist. Everything's racist. If you don't like, I don't like Tuesday, so that's racist.
Yeah.
It's just it really is amazing.
It's the war on Tuesday.
I mean, we had the one episode that jokingly throughout the show you were just calling us racist for everything we said.
Oh, he sent me an email congratulating me on being honest.
But I mean that's really how Al Sharpton is. Anything anybody says, if he doesn't like it, you're a racist, and that just sickens me.
Well, I think the problem, my biggest problem with guys like Al Sharpton is that I don't believe that they're honest. They're not trying to actually solve racial inequality or racial bad feelings amongst different races. They don't actually want to solve the problem with unity and getting everybody together. They want to separate everybody and have them continuing to argue with people because that's how Al Sharpton makes his money.
Yeah.
Look, if the race problem was solved, then Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton would be out of a job, and they wouldn't be able to. And what Jesse Jackson does, which is like the mob, is goes in there and browbeats companies to get them to hire his family members, not other black people, just his family members. And these guys are nepotism all day long, and it really is pathetic to see that. Because I'd like to see honest people that are trying to make sure that racism and things like that are not things that continue in society, because racism is inherently the opposite of what libertarianism is, because the libertarian wants to treat everybody as an individual and no one group of people with any special rights at all. But that's what everybody wants, though. Everybody wants to be treated the same. They get people to guys like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson get people to think that what they're advocating for is actually that, when it's nothing to do with that. And they're not advocating for that to help those people. They're advocating for that to ruin those people. Hey, look, Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton have been doing this for 30, 40 years or whatever, right? How much better are the African-American communities now than they were when they started? No, none better. It's been getting worse. Has it been gotten worse because Jesse Jackson just hasn't been effective? No, that guy's living in mansions. He's got his kids in office that are getting lifetime pensions. Al Sharpton's on a TV show. These guys are living fine, and yet you are not looking any better than you were. But the reason is because you got to quit following people like this, and you need to actually just follow yourself and not even worry about it. Get rid of all these people from office, and get rid of the laws that are causing all these problems. But at any rate, hour number 2 is up, in the bag, or hour number 2 is in the bag. Hour number 3 is coming up. The website is 1787network.com. We'll be going off of Tan Talk, but thank you very much, Tan Talk, for always giving us an opportunity every week to opine. And we'll see you guys next week.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with camera. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground. If you'd like to call the Refresh Telecom lines, the number is 1-800-525-4032. That is 1-800-525-4032. Well, it's been an exciting couple hours so far, huh? The third one's going to be just as exciting as the other two, if not more exciting. I imagine I will have a rant or two coming. So for those of you that do like the rants, they will be here.
My ears are still ringing from the first hour. Like, it really is. Like, when we take off the headphones, my ears are still, like when your ears need to pop and they feel, almost like there's something in your, like cotton's in your ear. Like, right. I feel like that now when I take off the headphones. Like, my ears are still like that for a while because of the first hour rants.
Oh, sorry. Well, sorry about that.
And then having to crank the sound up and play with the boys. That doesn't help at all in the second hour.
My bad. My bad.
I wish you'd just give us like a little warning. Like, I wish there was a ramp up, but you go from like quiet and calm to screaming and like with no warning whatsoever.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment.
Yeah, there's no ramp up there. There's no slow build or even any build.
Instant banshee, just add politics.
Yeah. So definitely my ears are still adjusting. But, of course, it's not like there's anything going on that's going to make you stop ranting, because it's just a lot of, we kind of did a lot of local stuff already and kind of, stuff going on in Florida, but and we were just talking to Brandon about Obamacare and things like that, but and he did mention it kind of briefly. But Obamacare and this the ACA is having a lot of effects on people, especially here in Florida. Florida Blue, which is actually Blue Cross and Blue Shield in Florida, is actually canceling 300,000 policies throughout the state. I think there's another one, I forget who it was, is going to be canceling, like, or in another state they're going to be canceling like 200,000 policies, Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So, this whole, and the rhetoric was in the beginning, like, oh, no, if you like your policy, you're going to be able to keep it. Most people are finding that their policies are at least a third more expensive, at least going up by about 30%. But now we're noticing that 300,000 policies in Florida, that's a huge amount. Can you stop that, please?
Sorry.
That's just a huge amount of policy. So this is directly affecting everybody. And if you have, if you like your policy, you don't necessarily get to keep it.
Oh, well, absolutely you don't get to keep it. That's just the way it is. I mean, that was the biggest lie that they made. Obama's biggest lie was that lie, because he doesn't like people to keep the policies that they have. They can't continue to control the American public.
Quite frankly, I'm scared as hell. My wife came to me night before last and goes, well, open enrollment's coming up. What do you want me to do for us? Because my whole family's on the policy through her work.
Right.
And I have no idea what to expect, what our rates are going to be, what kind of policy we're going to have, what kind of coverage we're going to have, whether we're even going to have coverage, whether her company's even going to continue with the option for a policy that covers spouses. I may not have health care coverage next year and will be forced to go through an Obamacare exchange, which I will not do.
Right.
I will not do it. So I don't see how this is going to work out. Again, it's designed to collapse on itself.
Well, yeah. I mean, I definitely think. But even some of the biggest, supporters of Obama and the ACA, are starting to come out against it now. Even Oprah, who was, very much helping him promote his candidacy in 2008, and Obamacare when it was being passed, has basically not come out in support of it. And this is someone that, especially in the African American community, they were kind of banking on her support to get people to go to the website. And she refuses to do anything with the Obamas or anything with the Obamas or anything else. And she basically says that they used her for political gain in the 2008 campaign, and then as soon as they didn't need her anymore, things that she was promised, like access to the White House for stories and things like that, they denied her very quickly. And now she's not being supportive of Obamacare. And Democrats this week have come out and actually said that maybe we should support a delay of the mandate because the website has been an abysmal failure. Nobody can get on. Nobody can do anything. And then they say, well, if you can't get onto the website, well, then call in. Well, you call in and you wait like 2 hours to be told to go back to the website.
Unbelievable. Now, and if you are a person that's actually, again, we'll go with how nice the whistleblowers are to people that are telling the truth about what's going on the inside people. Because, if you do this, there's people you can call and do all this other stuff. That on Hannity's show, he actually asks for somebody that was an Obamacare operator. Well, an Obamacare operator called in, said, yeah, they're having a lot of problems. I mean, she wasn't like really horribly negative about it. And they fired her.
See, I thought he called into the customer service number.
Oh, no, you're right. That's true. I'm sorry.
And she just started answering questions. He made it clear, you're on the air, you're on the radio, and started asking questions, and she started answering them. And she answered them honestly, and they did not like that.
Yeah, oh gosh, boy, they do not like honesty. They do not like honesty. Which, again, it's really funny considering that. And the good thing for Hannity, again, I'm not really a big fan of Sean Hannity, but the good thing is he actually paid her a year's salary for that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to pay you a year's salary. I'm going to do it as a gift, so there will be no taxes on your end.
Right.
And I'm going to help you find a new job, which I think that's probably the most stand-up thing I've ever seen him do.
Yeah. He every once in a while you'll get him to do something like that. And considering he called in and he didn't cost her the job, but he was the initial starting of the reason that she got fired. I'd imagine they'd have fired this woman anyway, because if she's willing to tell the truth, there's no way they want to keep people like that around. They really.
They weren't as nice to us when we called in. We didn't call in on the show. This was actually when I was with Jordan. That was when we found that phone number.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting through to someone, and Jordan said, do you find it a little ironic that this is the number I called to get to you? And she was not as pleasant and was not as willing to answer our questions.
Yeah, I think she got a raise and a promotion.
Yeah, probably. And he was like, don't you find it ironic that this is the number I called and you're answering? And she was like, no, I don't find it ironic at all. Do you have any other questions? She says, do you have any real questions for me?
Yeah.
And he was like,
awesome.
no, have a good day. And he hung up.
Yeah.
But, I do, I applaud Hannity. He did a good thing here by, giving her the money. And he is going to help her find a new job. And I'm sure he's probably going to find her a much better one than she had.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, and now the contractors that built the website are blaming the government for the website failures. Like they're saying that the government actually made some last minute changes to the website and that they had been told that this failed the testing. Like, listen, we've tested this website out and it's failed, and you've made some changes now that is not going to be a good thing. And they basically, the government said, roll out with it anyways. And now they're, like the companies go, wait a minute, this isn't our fault. The government screwed this up. We tried to tell them. And,
well, the Democrats were they were between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
The Republicans were asking for a delay of Obamacare. They stood up and wanted to fight any kind of delay.
Right.
And they come to the realization that they have to delay it for it to work. But they're in the media, they're standing up saying, no, we refuse to delay this just because of political theater. So they want to play the political theater and ultimately are failing to implement this grand plan, this great idea, this awesome legislation that they think is so great. And it just shows what a failure they are and that we really needed to delay this. And
yes.
the worst part about Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, whatever you want to call it, the worst part about it is no one understands it.
Yes.
Very few people have a clear understanding of what it means, what the laws are, what they have to do to comply. The doctors, the insurance companies, everybody is confused. And we're going to just say, no delay, just roll it out. We don't care that nobody knows what they're doing. Make it law, make it happen. And it's ridiculous. It shows how incompetent and inept these people in office are.
Well, and what I don't understand is that they can't get a simple website like, the healthcare.gov website running and things like that, but yet they can monitor 330 million people without any problem.
And record every conversation we're having.
And tap the cell phones and email of world leaders.
Yes.
Yeah, they can do all this stuff, but don't put a website together. You can't put a website together.
And that's what, and this just, thank you, Edward Snowden, by the way. Thank
you, Snowden.
I'm sure that he doesn't listen to the show, but maybe we should, try to find him and send him a link because he'd probably like it. He's and obviously this is stuff that he's already turned over to The Guardian. They are putting it out kind of slowly and, kind of here and there. But more stuff came out again about, the NSA monitoring the calls of at least 35 world leaders.
What?
America spies on her enemies, America spies on her allies, and America spies on her own people.
Right.
If you are on the planet Earth, you're being spied on. If you're in the solar system, pretty good chance you're being spied on.
Yeah.
They're saying that the agency was given more than 200 numbers by government officials. This is the NSA. The NSA was given 200 numbers by government officials. So basically, they're like, here's the numbers to watch.
Yeah.
And then, and the NSA encouraged departments to share their Rolodexes and surveillance. And this is the funny thing about this memo is that they have this memo basically saying, this is how we got the numbers. Yes, we monitored 35 world leaders. And at the end of the memo, it says, surveillance produced little intelligence. So basically, yeah, we bugged everybody. We monitored everybody and got nothing.
Par for the course. Government produces little intelligence.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I think the fact that you use government and intelligence in the same sentence actually is just a complete... Like, there is no government intelligence whatsoever. That's just an oxymoron.
Yeah, you get dumb as a box of rocks when you go up there. You just do.
They're afraid we're going to sink Guam.
Yeah,
Come on, these people
We're
are...
going to capsize it. We're going to capsize Guam.
There are not two brain cells to rub together to start a campfire in Washington, D.C. And we're going to trust these people with everything. Healthcare, all of it.
Well, and clips will run out of bullets, and magazines will run out of bullets, and therefore the magazine will be no good anymore.
We need more steel for our bullets. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know why we have to buy steel from other countries? Because we're not allowed to dig for iron here.
Right.
There's plenty here. We're just not allowed to dig for it.
Yeah.
Right. And that is, they kept, this is the meeting that we kept going to, that we were at, and they're talking about all these huge, well, Germany and China, they have, the hugest trade surpluses. Yeah. And you know what the key thing is from Germany and China that no other country has done yet? They have completely deregulated their domestic market. Mm-hmm. That's the key. I mean, and listen, is there currency manipulation going on? Absolutely. Do they do these things to make trade unequal? Of course. I mean, I'm definitely not saying that those things don't happen. But do you want to know why stuff in China is so cheap? Because they've deregulated their domestic market, their production market, the manufacturing. And so is Germany, which is why Germany has become such a great surplus, is because they deregulated their domestic and manufacturing market, where we just keep over-regulating it. And like you said, the reason why we have to bring in so much steel is because we're not allowed to mine it ourselves here in our own state, because there's some, EPA comes in and says, well, we haven't done an environmental study on what digging would cost.
Yeah. Well, there are federal mining bans. I mean, across the United
absolutely.
States, there's very little mining that's allowed to go on in the United States at this point, and iron mining is almost non-existent in this country. That's why we have to import steel, because steel is just iron smelted with carbon. I mean, it's real simple. And we have to import steel because we cannot dig iron out of the ground here when we have plenty of it.
Yeah. Well, and that comes with almost most natural resources. The U.S. is actually very mineral rich, very resource rich.
Oh, yeah.
We just limit what can be gotten from our own deposits. Mm-hmm. And because of that, when we need more than we're allowed to dig out of the ground, we have to get it somewhere.
Yep. We're not going to stop producing things.
Right.
We still need that steel, but we're not allowed to get the raw materials ourselves. We have to buy it from somebody else.
Yeah. No, so, these world leaders all around the country are pretty pissed off at the U.S. Because it keeps coming out that we are surveilling more and more of them, and I'm sure that as the leaks continue, we will find out many more things that the U.S. was surveilling. Although they cannot make a functional website, they certainly can watch just about every person around the world without any problem whatsoever. So it has to make you wonder why they can't build a website. But I thought this story was funny, is that the former NSA chief, Michael Hayden, was actually speaking to someone over the phone while he was on Amtrak. He was on an Amtrak train, just traveling, and he wasn't very coded in what he was saying. And there was someone else on the train. It was let me see. I'm trying to get his name. He's from MoveOn.org, but it's Tom Matsy. Tom Matsy from MoveOn.org also happened to be on the same train. Mm-hmm. And as he's hearing Michael Hayden speak, he was live tweeting the conversation.
Nice.
Nice.
So the former NSA chief got spied on and surveyed and surveilled, and all his stuff, his personal private conversation, got put out live on Twitter.
Hey, you got nothing to hide, then don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't be worried, right? If you're not doing anything wrong, you're a big guy. Matter of fact, I like to do a Freedom of Information Act on every conversation that all our elected officials have had in the past, I don't know, as long as they've been in office. I'd like to actually have all of those conversations. So if we're going to do a Freedom of Information Act, let's do that. Since we know they have the data. Here's the other thing about Snowden, right? Snowden gave all the stuff to Greenwald, and Greenwald's putting it out, part by part. What else is left?
I don't know.
I mean,
I
really, what else is left going on here, man? I'm kind of curious to see how far down what is there something that they could say now that would surprise you?
Not really. Well, there's nothing that they could. There hasn't been for a long time that would surprise me.
Hey, look, I got to tell you, the fact that they were spying on 35 of the leaders of leaders of countries. That one was a little surprising.
Did you? Were you?
I was not at all
I was
shocked
not
about
shocked
that.
at all.
I wasn't having fun.
I wasn't having any fun.
I wasn't having any fun.
I was enjoying it thoroughly.
So that was wow.
No, as the leaks come out, and actually, and this is honest, when I saw this, because I check the Guardian UK a lot, and when I see the NSA, then this is the headline: NSA monitor calls of 35 world leaders after U.S. officials handed over contacts, and I kind of went, only 35?
That was my thought.
That was my reaction.
I was expecting closer to how many countries are there on the planet?
Right.
But I guess those third world countries that have no economy to speak of are irrelevant, and we can't really tap their phones because they don't have them.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, that was my first reaction. I wasn't shocked. I was actually like, oh, only 35, which is sad. That our first reaction is that 35 is a low number of world leaders that we spied on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how bad our government has gotten, to the point where it's so bad and so corrupt that we look at something as, and it is absolutely horrible that 35 world leaders were spied on for no reason by our own government. But we're so used to the corruption that we look at that and go, well, it's only 35.
my first thought when you said that they're now all mad at the U.S. government, my first thought was, welcome to the club. Give us a like on Facebook, Liberty Underground Show. Yeah, come on.
The 1787 Network on YouTube.
Yeah, come on. Call into the program, 1-800-525-4032. We would like to speak to the German Chancellor.
By the refresh telecom lines, who will not monitor your calls, by the way.
Yes.
This is Chancellor Merkel.
Yes.
Yes.
I would like to join the resistance.
Oh man, that's too funny.
The U.S. government is just being buried under this avalanche of leaks. You could almost say they're snowed in.
Oh man, that was oh man, that was a bad pun.
Oh, that was
all puns are awesome. Stop it.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that one
was bad.
You were going down the wrong road.
But you guys are just sitting there leaving dead air. What am I supposed to do?
No, wait. I don't know what site Alex goes on to just look at random pictures, but he's on that site again. That's why randomly I'll be like, can you stop? And nobody knows what I'm talking about. It must sound like I go at for a second, I'm absolutely nuts because you don't hear any sound. So for anyone who's listening, you don't hear any sound and you're not actually seeing what he's doing on the computer, and then all of a sudden I touch his arm and go, will you stop?
Yeah.
Because he's over there watching German dungeon porn or something.
No, I go back to that film. I go back to that.
I swear I'm going to parental control his computer, and I'm going to block that site.
He's trying to find half-naked pictures of Pam Bondi.
But yeah, no, whatever site that is, I swear I'm going to parental control his computer and block it because it is so distracting through the show. And whenever we're on a subject that he just didn't, he didn't read it up on, or, is like, we've talked about that a lot. This is what he does. He goes to the site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we go to Obamacare, which I know for him, he's like, well, we already just talked about it with Brandon. So what does he do? He pops up that site. So now I'm trying to talk about a serious subject, and this is what I'm seeing out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
And I think he does it now, not because he wants to see the pictures, but he knows it's going to derail whatever I'm saying.
Yep.
Well, that's an ancillary benefit. That's not it's not primary. I actually like this guy who takes good pictures, so I just like seeing what he puts in here.
Will you stop already?
Oh, do I have to stop?
Like, do you realize that we're on?
We are on the air right now. We are working.
Like,
What?
you're supposed to be part
We're
of the show.
not on the air. We're not. You guys are racist.
Well, we're on YouTube.
You guys are racist.
Well,
my God.
that may or may not be true, but we're still on the air.
All right, what's next?
I don't even know.
She has
like,
no
we don't-
idea.
No,
You
we
totally
don't
derailed
know.
her.
Oh,
No,
this ain't off the rails. Come on now.
You know, and there's plenty of blame to go around, you know, but I think we always have to, especially here in Florida, a lot of these things that happen in Florida, you know, I always love the two, you know, well, no, it's them over there. It's the Democrats that do this. And no, it's the Republicans that do this. Well, you know, in a lot of ways, Republicans still control a lot of things. And, you know, and we got asked this. I get asked this a lot, actually, that on the show, we tend to go after the GOP a little more than we go after Democrats.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of truth to that, actually.
There is.
And there's reasons for that.
And I think
No,
there's
absolutely
reasons.
there is.
And I think sometimes we need to tell people the reason is, listen, Democrats are socialists. We know that. I mean, that, like, there's no... You know, there's no hiding that. Like, it's not that we don't see the socialist agenda that's coming out of the Democrat Party. We totally see it.
Yeah, from the people in office.
But they didn't lie about it. Like, it wasn't a shock.
Yeah.
You know?
I think where they're lying is that they're actually more corporatists, though.
Yes, they are more corporatist. And you know, and we say that that's, you know, pretty rampant all the way around. But... it's not like any part of the agenda coming out of the Dems was a big shock to me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But when the GOP legislates exactly like them,
but then talks like us.
but then tries to talk like us, I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I have a major problem with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Nobody's confusing Democrats for libertarians. No Democrats are out there calling themselves libertarian progressives or anything like that. You know, there is no confusion as to the relationship between the Democrats and the libertarians. So we don't have to clear that up for you guys.
You know, I actually said this to someone last night because I actually posted, and this has been going around, a lot of libertarians in Florida posted this yesterday, and it's the loyalty oath from the RPOF, the Republican Party of Florida. And I actually put this in there, and I said, okay, you need to explain this to me. If you want to say that you're ideologically libertarian or you're a libertarian Republican, how do you settle the fact that they want you to sign a loyalty oath? Because as an actual libertarian, I can tell you, we'd never stand for this. And
yeah, that would never fly in the LP.
No, not ever. And only one person decided that he was going to try to explain it to me. And honestly, he did it in a very respectful manner, and I responded to him very respectfully. But we kind of had a back and forth. And I said, you know, basically, like, listen, my issue is that you guys are okay with something like a loyalty oath, and you're okay with a lot of these really horrible policies, but then want to use the brand libertarian. And you don't really believe it. And that's where my problem lies. That's where I'm having an issue. And I said, you know, and let's face it, there's no libertarian saying I'm a Republican libertarian.
Yeah.
There's only Republicans saying I'm a libertarian Republican.
And maybe they just need some clarification. Maybe they're just confused. Because here's how it breaks down. The Democrats believe in government economic controls and social freedom.
Yes.
The Republicans believe in economic freedom and government social controls.
Right.
Okay, so if you're a conservative or a Republican, you're going to agree with libertarians on about 50% of the things, and that's 100% of the economic things.
Right.
So just because you agree with the libertarians on those issues, that does not mean you are a libertarian.
Right.
Okay, so on the other hand, the Democrats, yes, we agree with the Democrats on social freedom. We disagree on the economic freedom. So when the Democrats start talking about gay marriage, things like that we line up on, that doesn't make them libertarian. And that's why we don't have to criticize them, because they're not saying, hey, I agree with 50% of it. I'm a libertarian. No, you're not. And they understand that, apparently. It is apparently the Republicans that do not understand. Yes, libertarians and Republicans agree with about 50% on the economic side. Just because you agree with libertarians on economics does not make you a libertarian. As long as you want to outlaw blowjobs, you are not a libertarian.
Not at all.
And one of my friends on Facebook made a big deal about when Cuccinelli a couple months ago came out and talked about banning oral sex and banning blowjobs. He's like, this is what the libertarians want. I'm like, no, let me clarify for you. There is not a libertarian on the planet that wants to outlaw blowjobs. It does not exist.
Yeah. There's nobody that wants to do that.
No.
Not one.
No. And this is what... and people ask, because I do, and I make no bones about it. I will switch people over to the Libertarian Party all day long. I did 13 this week so far. I mean, I'm very proud of it. 13 in a week, yay! I'm doing good. And we hear this a lot.
Hold on. Let me just say this real quick. Imagine if every Libertarian did 13 a week. By the way.
Yeah, exactly. We'd be a major party, by the way.
I hate to interrupt, but I wanted to make that point to them.
Yeah.
Props to Danielle.
So, and generally, I don't feel like it's been a successful event unless I've switched at least one person. So, I mean, I switch a lot of people over. But, and people will say, well, you should target Republicans, but you need to stop saying this, or you should target Democrats, but you need to stop saying this. Listen, I want to make this really clear. I target libertarians who are in the wrong party.
That's right. You go, girl.
I don't target people who believe in Republican platform of having a police officer in every bedroom. I don't want those people over. They don't agree with us. And I don't want a Democrat that believes that the government should pay for everything and steal it from us to do it. I don't want those people in the LP because they don't agree with us. What I want is people who just want to live free, that registered in a party because they were like, well, I got to register in something, so I guess this is the one. Those are the people I get over.
Right.
And those are the people I want because they just want to live free. They just registered in the wrong party. And I'm not mad at them for it. I get it. You didn't know. I've gone to the SOE. I hear what they say. They tell you to be in one of the big two. I get it. Now you know you have a home. Come on home.
Go to your home.
And that's what I target. But the Republican Party has also decided that they want to get out people who don't agree with them. And they are targeting the Tea Party.
Yeah.
Because that's what libertarians do.
Right.
We want to get people out because they agree with us.
But and listen, a lot of the Tea Parties in Florida have actually a very big libertarian contingent to them. Mm-hmm. But they don't make any bones about it, and they don't say, well, I'm actually a libertarian, but I'm in the Republican Party. No, we go to Tea Parties a lot. And there's a lot of registered libertarians in these groups. I mean, they're like, no, I don't, or NPAs. There's a lot of NPAs in the Tea Parties around Florida. I can't talk for other states. I don't go there. But I can talk about in Florida, a lot of the Tea Parties that we've gone to, a large majority are actually registered no party affiliation. They don't believe in any political party. And so, and a good portion are actually libertarians too. And then, of course, there are the Tea Party leadership that lean very, very heavily GOP, and they just can't control what other people do, and people, register however they want. But the Republican Party itself, the establishment Republican Party across the country, has decided that they're going to put in large amounts of money to go against any Tea Party candidates in 2014.
Yeah.
And this is out in the National Journal right now, inside the messy but moneyed Republican plan to neutralize the Tea Party. And they basically say, they're going to be spending millions in 2014 to go against Tea Party candidates in the GOP. So these people don't want you.
Yeah, they don't want you at all. They don't want you in their party. And I got to tell you, in that aspect, I agree. Shouldn't be in there. It demeans you. It diminishes you as an individual. You need to leave the party because here's the thing. You hear a lot of this argument all the time about, this is a two-party system and that's just the way it's going to be. For a second, let's just go with that. I don't agree with that analogy, but for a second, let's go with that. Well, if it's not obvious to you, it's obvious to me that there's no fixing this party, either one of them, the Democrats or the Republicans. So instead of trying to waste your time, you want to talk about a wasted vote, instead of wasting your time trying to fix something that's obviously not going to be able to be fixed, because even the plan that they have is not going to work, just get rid of it and replace it with, I don't know. I'm gonna take a wild guess out here. Just pure speculation. I don't know. Maybe the party that does agree with you, like the Libertarian Party. That's a novel concept. Could you imagine that? Because if you're looking right here, with all the fighting, with everything, because they can do a lot more in Virginia against Sarvis than they can do in other states.
Right.
In Virginia, Sarvis is polling, he's at 12% right now. That's with all of the stuff going on right now. Imagine if those Republicans that are holding their nose to support Cuccinelli would actually come over. Now, if you see that, then the people that are Dems that just hate Republicans would also come over because they see they have a chance to win. So one of the sides has got to come over. But to be honest with you, I don't care either way, because you know what? Regular people that aren't so into this stuff love the Libertarian Party. And as soon as they know more about us, and our own fault, again, our own fault is we don't get out there enough. That's going to be fixed soon. But it's beautiful to see what is, at the same time, it's beautiful to see that the rest of the general public is so incredibly pissed off at all of these politicians that they don't want to talk to you if you're a Democrat or Republican. But the second you say you're a Libertarian, whole thing changes. Oh, really? What's that all about?
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds like something new. Oh, it's shiny. You know?
Yeah, and it is really nice, as much as, and we do, and we talked about this at the beginning. I mean, we haven't been home in a couple weeks. I mean, it's just been nonstop meetings and trips for all different sorts of things. And it's been so, just exhausting. But when you go out there and just talk to voters, just people, you get so re-energized, because as soon as they grab a card, they say, well, Republican or Democrat, and they're angry. You can tell. I mean, they're just like Republican or Democrat, and you almost feel like they're angry. Like if you give them the wrong answer, they're going to be mean to you. And I have to be honest, and I'm like, well, neither. We're libertarians. And the face just changes, and they're like, oh, okay. And I did have a couple people over the weekend actually come over, face lights up. Oh, okay, thanks, And then they'll come back and say, well, what about this policy? And I've heard this. And I got to dispel a lot of misconceptions to people over the weekend, which I always love. And then one lady actually talked to me for a good while. Basically was like, well, I've heard this and I've heard that. And I got to dispel a lot of misconceptions. And then she came back and she came back an hour later and had to find me and said, what's the response been like? And I said, the response that you had with me was the same I've been getting all day long. And we were in a place where we had thousands of people come through. And I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, there was about 15,000 people there, and we handed out 3,000 cards. So we got to at least have a touch of, to 3,000 people. And she was like, oh, that's so good to hear, because I've been so worried that people are just apathetic and not really paying attention. And that's why I haven't really looked at the Libertarian Party. But to know that more people are just as upset as I am, you know what? I'm going to start looking into your party. I may re-register. And it's little things like that where, like, people inherently want to be on the winning team, or at least a team that's on the rise.
Yeah.
But now that, and I do believe that 80% of people actually agree with our platform. I think people just inherently want to be free. They just don't know that there's people out there fighting for that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong either. Like, I was watching Stossel. I think it was a segment of Stossel last night when he would ask people, what do they want to cut? And then they go, well, we can't cut education, or we can't cut this, or we can't cut this. But the only reason they're saying it is not because they believe it, because even though inherently they know something's wrong with the system, they can't get past the fact that those cuts actually are going to end up helping, not hurting. Because if you get rid of the regulation that goes with, the funding that you're getting from the federal government, it would actually cost you less to do it locally than it would be if the feds are involved with it. And the feds steal a lot of that money. Like, if you send money to the Department of Education, 10% makes it back. So here's the thing: we could cut student cost. We could cut the entire Department of Education's budget, get rid of it completely, and the only impact it would have locally is going to be about 10%. So you have to increase your spending in order to do the same level that you're at right now, let's just say. Is that you'd have to increase spending locally by 10% to cover what the feds do, but then all the rules that the feds have that cost you all that money go away, so
Right.
it's going to end up being a net positive for you, not a net negative. But it's because people can't. They don't have that understanding.
They
Well,
can't
see, that's
all to
conceptualize
mean.
That's sorry to cut you off,
No,
but
please do.
that's the people who even have a higher level of understanding. I think what's even more common is that people just don't have an understanding of how these things will function without government involvement. They know that our children need to be educated. They're not clear on how that's going to happen without the government doing it because they're not familiar with it. They've spent their entire life
Right.
living in a country where it's the responsibility of the government, and they have no familiarity with any other way. It's foreign to them.
But what most people don't know is that the Federal Department of Education was only created in 1973.
Right.
So this wasn't like our country has always had a Federal Department of Education. No, for the most part, we haven't. This is a fairly new thing. It's been a failure.
It's been a tremendous failure. Every single metric that we use to measure education standards in this country has dropped drastically, steadily, and is continuing to drop. It is a downward slide, no going up,
Right.
since the creation of the Department of Education.
You know, so people don't, they kind of
They're
don't.
doing it wrong.
People don't realize that we don't need a Federal Department of Education, and most of them, when they went to school, didn't have one. And they don't realize that. You know, it's like, you know, most people, when you say, you know, especially even some of the older people, and they didn't know this. And you'll say, well, we need to get rid of the Federal Department of Education. Well, you want to close down schools. Well, when you were in school, there wasn't one. Did you still not go?
Yeah. What year did you graduate? 1964? It was 11 years before the creation of the Department of Education. You saying you didn't have a school?
So I don't think people realize like the whole history of things. And that's why they're so, you know, like, and they're being told, you know, by every talking point and you know, the head on mainstream media, well, no, if we don't have this, we won't have schools. No, that's not true. We had schools for, you know, 200 years before the Department of Education.
If we don't have the Department of Education, we don't have an anchor that's holding down the states and preventing them from being able to improve their education situation.
Right. And all you're cutting out is a bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Because the Federal Department of Education does not employ one teacher that actually teaches in a classroom. They don't employ anyone anywhere that actually directly affects the education of a child.
Yeah.
At all. So all you're doing is now, instead of your money going up to the Federal Department of Education to pay a bunch of people a 3-figure salary and then come back here with less money, we could just pay it to the state and have more money within our own state to educate our students. We don't need those guys. They don't actually directly teach anyone.
Yeah. The only
But who's going to fix the roads?
the only federal involvement in the education system in America that I can even understand and support would be for the federal government to, based on population density, augment the funds of the states so they can support their own education systems. You know, rather than dictating standards and things like that.
You're saying like a state voucher almost.
Yeah, to an extent, you know. To make sure that the states are funded enough to be able to educate their children. That's it. That's really all we need from the federal government. Just make sure all the states have enough money.
Yeah.
You know?
We send up, and this is what happens. We actually, the average in Florida, we spend $12,000 averagely per student. Some districts spend more, some spend less, but it's average $12,000 per student. But that's not what the state, that's what we basically spend out of our tax dollars. We only, out of that $12,000 per student, only 60% of that actually even makes it to the state. That means 30%, I think it's actually 64% makes it to the state. 36% goes to the Federal Department of Education to run regulations. So 36% of every dollar you send, 36 cents, just goes to pay people 6-figure salaries. That's it.
For failing standards.
Right. Yeah, for standards that have been piss poor. Then the state has only the rest of the 64%. Now, there's a bunch of 6-figure salaries in Tallahassee as well. And there's a bunch of 6-figure salaries in... Why does a high school need 5 assistant principals?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. these people have created such over redundancy in the education system, and the second that you say that they might have been doing something wrong, that the vitriol that you see coming from those people is something that's amazing. Now, here's the thing. Look, I don't care how many stupid degrees you got from stupid schools. You're still an idiot if you think that this big administration is not killing your money. Right. Because here's the thing. I didn't have to go to all those schools to learn math. Because I learned that in high school. And if you keep adding job after job after job that doesn't educate people, then you're not going to get better educated people. Because those aren't teachers you're hiring. Those aren't teachers you're giving more money to. Those are administrators. And it's friends. This is the crony capitalism on the left is this. Because they want to hire as many people into the school. Like they think that the job of the school is to hire people, not educate people. They go, we're part of the community. We're here to help the community. Yeah, you are. You're here to help the community by educating kids. That's it. Hire the people you need to do that job, and that's it. Don't hire any more. Don't hire any less. Just hire those people. And that's why I actually completely support a voucher program in the state of Florida. Because here's the thing. I don't trust you educators to actually make the decision on how to run a school. Because running a school would be like running a business because it's consumer driven. Again, if there's one product that you want to have free market competition, it's your kids' education. Mm-hmm. Because getting single payer gets us what we got right now. We're living in single payer education. God, imagine what that would be if it's healthcare. I mean, really. Imagine what that's going to be when it's healthcare. It's some scary stuff. And later on, and again, Adrian has a way of doing this, is that later on, Adrian realizes that we're right, even though he argues with us in the beginning. And so...
And then he sells it as his idea.
Well, yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll let him get away with that. But the rest of y'all are going to figure out we're right, too. And it ain't because we're smart people. It's because we have the ability of critical thinking. All right? And we know that we don't know you on how to live your life. And so everything we advocate for is that. It's that we don't know any better than you do on how to live your life. But we know that the people that are currently making laws right now, they don't know better either. And for their arrogance, for them to say that they do, only shows you they're evil. It only shows you our benevolence. I mean, look, we want to make sure the poor is taken care of, but we realize the government's not going to do it. We realize that people are going to do it locally. So, yeah. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I just, and I think that, you know, more and more people, as they hear us talk about it and things like that, I mean, there's just so many misconceptions. And the misconceptions come with people like Rand Paul or Ted Cruz or any of these other guys that have a national platform that want to use the libertarian brand to describe what they're doing in their, as they legislate. And that's where the misconceptions come in, because they're not us. They don't believe the same things we do, and they're putting that misconception out there. And they're like, you know, and then people are, you know, we have to, I spend most of the time at an event dispelling myths about what we believe.
Yep.
And it's not because of Democrats.
No, and it isn't, because there's no Democrat out there saying that they're a libertarian Democrat.
Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong. There are some myths that we have to dispel because of Democrats. But those are actually kind of easier ones to dispel.
Yeah. And it's not that we believe the same thing they do. It's not that we're Democrats.
No. The Democrat, look, it's always weird to say that this way, but I do try to say it this way. I advocate for the most amount of freedom that I possibly can have, but I also realize that we do live in what you would consider to be a constitutional republic or a representative republic or however you want to say it. Not a democratic republic, though. I don't care what they say about that stuff. All the ones that say they're democratic republics are communists. I mean, it's just the way it is. But in doing that, I'm not going to tell the people in another state on how they should run their game. That's their business, not my business. So I don't want the feds dealing with it. Once it gets to the state, let your state deal with it. Let the people in your state deal with it as they see fit. It's not my business to do that stuff. Now, I would, you know, vehemently disagree with many of the things that some of these people are trying to do. With that being said, I'm not really going to be out there to stop it either, though. So, sorry. My bad.
No, I agree with you. I mean, education is one of the biggest things that have been going on lately that, we've been talking to voters about. Because in this election, especially with Common Core that, just went through and things like that.
Passed by the Republicans.
Yeah. This is one of the, when you're running, when Adrian first started running for office, of course, we get with an issues team and we say, okay, what's going to be big to the voters of Florida? We had tons of stuff, jobs and the economy and all this stuff. But, in all honesty, when we go out to voters, the biggest question we get asked is education. Please stop that.
Oh, sorry.
But in all, and that is, I mean, you're doing it on purpose now.
A little bit.
So.
Sorry, that one was inadvertent.
That's gratuitous now.
That one was inadvertent.
I'm going to mount a camera behind you just so I can post it up and let everybody see what you're doing.
See what I'm doing?
Yeah. So, but that is like the number one question we get after, are you a Republican or a Democrat?
Right.
Is what's your thoughts on education? How are you going to fix the education system? This is huge on people's mind. And there is such a misconception that libertarians hate education.
No, we hate the government involvement in education.
We hate the bureaucracy in education, and that, but as soon as they hear like the ideas, and when you say to someone like, why does a high school need 5 assistant principals? And they go, well, yeah, why?
Yeah. Yeah, you start asking them the questions. You realize what they're spending. Because what they do is they just pull your heartstrings with the money. They go, well, we need more money for the kids. That money ain't for the kids. Yeah. That money's for that guy that you want to make the 5th assistant principal.
Right.
That's the money you want. You don't want to fire that guy, though, because you want to be honest about that you've built a bureaucracy that's so damn huge, and you've done it on purpose.
Well, and how many times do you, in the whole, who will build the roads, how many times do you see a road construction crew where one guy's digging a hole and 6 people are out there with clipboards?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, hey, I think maybe I think we found 6 we don't need.
Yeah, here's the other thing. Government doesn't build the roads anyway. People build the roads.
Now, government hires private contractors.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. But then they put so many rules and regulations on it that cost so much damn money to be able to do the damn roads.
And that's why they need 6 people to watch one guy dig a hole.
Yep.
And you really want to know how messed up it is? See, I know people who work in that industry who do road work. You want to know how bad it really is? Talk to some of those people. Get some insight onto how that really works, how those bids really work. Why the roads are shut down for months before they actually start working. Mm-hmm. I mean, once you start getting the answers to those things, you're going to go full anarchist, and you're going to be like, get the government out of doing roads.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, they block the road in the beginning so they can actually start getting paid for it.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. They don't start getting paid until they block out the roads, and they can't start working on it until they get paid.
Yeah.
So it's this ridiculous cycle that government creates.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I did want to mention real quick, though, on events coming up. Because Bill Young has passed away, they are going to be holding a special election. We are going to have a libertarian in that race if you help them out. Now, he'll probably get it done either way, but I want to make sure. This Sunday, 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock down at Whiskey Depot, which is at 8256 Almerton Road, Largo, Florida, 33771. They are going to go out there to try to get petitions done. And they want to make sure they get enough petitions to be on the ballot. This is going to be another special election. It's going to be a short sprint race. There's a lot of confusion as to who's going to be in this race. Lucas has already been in this race. He's been going out doing a lot of times. So go out there and help him if you can. This is going to be like I said, at the Whiskey Depot from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I think they're only going to go walking out till about 4, and then they're going to start drinking at Whiskey Depot after that and partying and stuff like that. So I just want to make sure I mention that.
And let's just clarify, because I know we have Lucas supporters listening to the show, and this is a question I have. I've already signed a petition to get Lucas on the ballot for the other election. Do I need to sign another petition for this special election?
You do not.
Okay.
No.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I am sure. The petition is the same no matter what. The day he became a candidate, he became eligible to take petitions. If they change the election date, that doesn't change the seat that he's running for. And he's already a filed candidate. And the law states that you can accept petitions the day you become a candidate, the day you turn in your paperwork. So regardless of when the election is, the petition is the same. Like there's no different form for a special election than there is for the regular election. The petition is the same. And the way the law states, it regardless of anything, the day you become an official candidate, the day you turn in your, I think it's a DSD E5 or something, or 6 or something like that, that's the day that you can start taking petitions.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you very much, Danielle, for making that abundantly clear to the rest of us that did not know, including Libertarian Greg.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want people to think that, oh, hey, I already signed a petition for Lucas, so I don't need to go sign another one. And if that was not the case, I wanted to make sure that was clear.
No, all of the petitions that he already has are still valid. And this would just, he's had a little more time, but the number of petitions needed doesn't go down.
Okay.
So it's not because you have a shorter amount of time. Like he had till June of next year to get I think it's 1,600 petitions that he needed. Now he may only have a few months. He may, depending on when the special election is, he may only have 30 days.
Right.
So all of his petitions that he already got were good. They're still valid, but now he just has less time to hit the number.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, what do you think they're going to do with this race when it comes to the timing stuff?
I think you're going to see maybe a January election.
You think you're going to see January, huh?
They can't do it before then with the holidays. You're going to need at least a Republican primary. Well, you may have a Democrat primary, but you're going to at least see a primary and a general. So you're at least going to need 30 days and 30 days, which would put you right at Christmas, which they won't do.
Yeah, that's true. But they're going to have to do it pretty quick, though, because that seat's still going to be up again in 2014.
Yeah, I think you're going to see an early January election, the first or second week of January. And it's only because I think the reason why they have to push it to January is the way it would run. Even if they announced today the dates, it would be a 30-day and a 30-day, which today's, the 27th? So that puts you right in between Christmas and New Year's, which they're not going to do.
25th.
Yeah. Today's the 25th. So, you'd be literally on Christmas.
We're exactly 2 months from Christmas.
So even if they announced tomorrow, you'd be the day after Christmas. They're not going to do it that week in between.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see a first or second week of January election.
Okay. All right, that's cool then. I'm down with that. I hope Lucas wins. Again, with elections like this, man, you never know what's going to happen. All right, guys. Well, hey, look, another week Well, no, I get 2 minutes to try to go through all of this stuff right here.
You say that, and then in 45 seconds, you're going to close.
Oh, I got you. Well, you know what you got to do? I'll tell you what you got to do, Greg. Here's what you got to do. You got to start playing the music a little bit. If you do that, that gives me the clue. Like, do a minute left, then the music comes.
Don't give him any hand signals because that confuses him.
Apparently.
Your hand signals confuse
As much as
me.
he talks with his hands, you would think that he would be better with hand
signals confuse him. He listens to auditory signals only, so play the music when you want him to wrap up.
Yeah, that hand signal was just totally pointless because now we're just talking about it on the air and wasted all this time.
Well, we only wasted like 2 minutes at the most, but sometimes witty banter is a good time too, though. So I like that. So
now you have 1 minute.
Now 1 minute. All right, so the website itself, 1787network.com. We put the stuff on there. There's websites you can sign up for, or not websites, but email
newsletters.
Newsletters you can sign up for. You get it every Friday. We don't send out any more than just the Friday one on that.
Every once in a while, but it's very few.
Yeah, very few. But if you get one, though, it's pretty important, so make sure you click on it and do whatever it says. Am I being detained?
Very libertarian.
Am I free to go? Yeah, I do believe in libertarianism, but at the same time, just do what I say when it comes to my emails. All right, I hope everybody had a good time. We will work on the issues when it comes to the sound issues. We'll get it better on it, and that's all I got. You got anything, Greg?
I got nothing.
Danielle?
Hey, now y'all have a great weekend.
No, just have a good weekend, and we'll be here Wednesday night, and then again on Friday.
All right, we'll see you guys on Wednesday. You listen to Liberty Underground.